Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming, I guess. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've said that. Now, I don't know whether you can hear me. I certainly hope so, because the little green dots that say the volume's going up and down are telling me that you can hear me. Oh my God, you're about to hear reverb. And that's because when I record myself, I like to hear myself. And so I've got myself playing on YouTube in the background on my own video. No, there we go. That should be done now. You should just have me speaking to you. And yeah, it's been some time. It's been a little while, I guess, around a year since I was on YouTube, I think. And wow, there's been a lot that's happened in that year. And thank you very much, all of you who decided, good God, all of you who decided when the notification popped up on your phones that, oh, tune in and watch this blast from the past talk about nothing in particular. I'm sure I do have a lot to talk about, and thank you very much everyone who is chiming in right now in the comments to say I'm alive, welcome back, straight out of torpor, welcome back, etc. What I'm going to do is turn the volume off on my laptop so you don't get hit with lots of notification noises. Oh, it's on Twitter as well. I didn't even realize I cross-posted this onto Twitter. There we go. I am a man of more talents than I ever thought. Thank you very much for watching. I usually say that at the end of my videos. And yes, too bad, Finlander, that you'll have to go to sleep in an hour, but you will be able to watch this. It will remain on my channel in perpetuity if you want to watch a video of a blithering English idiot. British idiot. I still consider myself British. Let's not get into politics just yet. So, good God, you'll have to excuse my being a little surprised. The number of commentators right now, number of viewers, I wasn't expecting this. I have been away for a little while. And what have I been doing? What have I been doing since I've been away? Well, a lot. So I guess the biggest news, let's talk about the history of me over the last year. So I've been working on Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. I am one of the writers for V5 for White Wolf Entertainment in Sweden. I'm not actually working in Sweden. I'm a contractor. I get to work from home now because I write role-playing games for a living. My life has changed to the extent that this is my job now. I actually write RPGs. So if you're ever interested in buying anything that I'm selling, just type in Matthew Dawkins, Dawkins, into Google, or into Drive Through RPG, and you will find a list of my long credits that I have written for over the past 4 years or so, but it's only in the last year that it's become a full-time job. I have also worked on V20, and I'm still working on V20 in some degrees or others. I'll get onto that, GM Steelhaven. You wait. Now, yeah, so I'm working on V5. That's great. I'm one of the, I guess, lead writers on setting, I think it's fair to say. So there are setting writers, rules writers, developers, artists, all kinds of people on V5, and I happen to be largely in charge of lore to an extent or other. It's good fun. It's one of the more interesting teams I've ever worked with, and I'm looking forward to that book coming out. Certainly we are intending on V5 coming out later this year. So what else am I doing? Well, I'm also now full-time at Onyx Path Publishing. So not only am I full-time at Onyx Path Publishing, I'm also working on V5 for White Wolf. So that isn't a conflict of interest, by the way. And so what do I do at Onyx Path Publishing full-time? Well, I'm a full-time developer and troubleshooter, I guess. I help books get out of log jams, and I develop books that need it. I set up new books with outlines when they're needed. I shepherd new developers, new writers. I develop games such as upcoming games like The Contagion Chronicle, which is the big crossover book for the Chronicles of Darkness, where you can play vampires, werewolves, Prometheans, mages, changelings, geists, and mummies, and beasts, and demons, and hunters, all in the same happy group. And I'm sure I missed one of them out in that spiel. Deviants, of course. And I do work on system for V5 as well, to a degree. I've just finished writing the traits for V5, in fact. So yeah, I am on system too, but setting more than anything else. And don't worry, I will answer questions once I get through my spiel here. But I'll occasionally chime in. Any chance you will be on W5, asks Alexandra. I certainly hope so. I don't know who Edward is, General Atsu, but I think I know who you mean, my son, and he is perfectly well. He's very happy, a very happy little boy. His name's Edwin, by the way, but, you know, I'll forgive you once. Now, what else? I do hope I'll be on W5. Hopefully the impression I leave on White Wolf won't be a disastrous one, and they'll hire me again, but that's out of my hands. And thank you for watching the Godlike video, Mountain Sierra. Now, I said I wasn't going to read those comments while I was talking. And excuse my gabbling, talking very, very fast, but hopefully I'm still speaking clearly. So yes, what am I developing right now? The Contagion Chronicle, which is the big crossover book for Chronicles of Darkness. And what else? I'm also developing They Came From Beneath the Sea. If you have been watching my channel for any length of time or checked out some of the obscure odd videos, you would have discovered that at one point I started writing my own RPG called They Came From Beneath the Sea. That game is now a reality, or will be soon. It is written, it just needs to be developed, which is the stage where I come in and iron out kinks, add in any missing bits, and then hand it over to editing and art. They Came From Beneath the Sea is a 1950s sci-fi game, bit camp, bit farcical if you want it to be, but it can also be Lovecraftian. And I had always hoped to create and release They Came From Beneath the Sea. I sold the idea to Onyx Path Publishing. I then developed it via Onyx Path Publishing, and we've done very, very well with it. I'm very happy with the way this book looks. We even have movie director Larry Blameyer as one of the writers on it. Sorry, all you other writers being overshadowed there. Larry is the director of movies like The Trail of the Screaming Forehead, Lost Skeleton of Cadavra, movies like that, very comedic B-movie type movies, and he's been fantastic to work with. I just asked, would you be happy to work on this? And obviously we paid him, and he was very enthusiastic. So in answer to your question, Elstron, is it supposed to be completely serious or more of a parody? Your characters don't know that they're in these farcical situations fighting aliens with rubber suits. It isn't the Truman Show where they are all actors, or where they're even in on a movie set. So how farcical you make it is really up to you as the director. It's a White Wolf property now, you ask? No, They Came From Beneath the Sea as an Onyx Path property. I sold it to them. So what are the creatures from beneath the sea named? Good question, Peter. There are a lot of creatures from beneath the sea. From the mind of Bianca Savazzi, one of our writers, there are brain-eater eels. From the mind of, oh God, now I'm going to try and link them to the various writers that we have on team. We have the teenage shrimp, were shrimp. We have crab folk. We have gilkin. We have pretty much everything. Oh, we have aquatapillars snuffling their way up the beach and consuming people. Who are just trying to get a suntan. Unfortunately, aquatapillars are like giant aquatic caterpillars, hence the name. We have all kinds of wonderful antagonists. They're not homogenous. They don't all work together, believe me. They are all interested in taking over the world for their own mysterious, bubbly, aquatic purposes. And sometimes humans can align with the aliens, but not for long, because the glowing people and the oblique and centipus and other underwater threats aren't that disposed to working with humanity for too long. They usually want to eat us, enslave us, invade us, spy on us, or possess us. So yeah, there's a whole range of foes, and They Came From Beneath the Sea. So what else? Do I ever get a chance to play games? I've been asked. Yes, in fact, I'm running a Chronicle of Mage the Ascension right now. Do I ever get to roll up characters to make sure they work? Yes, I playtest everything that I write. Everything, I think. because I'm very conscious that there's a lot of games that do get released that don't meet public at all beforehand, and I think you can usually tell. Aquanauts? Oh, that would be telling, Alex. What's the drop date for my game? Asks Zeus. Well, we don't. Thank you, Zeus. We don't release dates because they inevitably change. I'm hoping that it will be on Kickstarter later this year, and if not, it will be released later this year in PDF. That's certainly the hope. I really hope that everything is in place by Gen Con, because the text is done except for the editing and then the associated arts, but I need to do a little on development just to make it a complete game. Is there a giant space sausage? Asks Alistair, and they came from beneath the sea. There might be, you know, there's some killer kelp. So let's see, what else am I doing? I have been very busy, like I say. I was working for Paradox Interactive for a while, the video game company. You probably know them for Crusader Kings, Hearts of Iron, Europa Universalis. I'm not going to give a shout out to the Akashic Brotherhood because, of course, we are here syndicate for life. And death. So, yes, what did I just talk about? I was working for Paradox Interactive, the video game company. And I did write the Tyranny of the Worm Dark thaumaturgy for the V20 Dark Ages type of Secrets of Bury On. I'll talk about my Mage the Ascension Chronicle. Good God, lots of questions right now. And I'm very grateful for them, all you people watching. I didn't anticipate this. I was kind of expecting to shoot a video here and run away, but I will hang around now. Are they making Bloodlines 2 at Paradox Interactive? Not that I'm aware of. That's not the game I was working on. Now, sadly, I was working with them for many months. Game got cancelled. And this happens more often than you'd think. Games get cancelled quite late on into development. It was a game I was very much enjoying working on. It was really catering to my interests and my skill, I guess. And sadly, it was not to be. It was out of our hands in creative. This happens more often than you think. Games get cancelled. And luckily, although it was a wonderful experience for me, brilliant to work on a video game for around 6 months, I'm now back in tabletop RPGs, which I never really left. And I enjoy that just as much. So, yeah. I'm doing well, and hopefully that game will see a revival, or I'll get work on another one at some point in the future. So what else are we talking about here? I have not had a hand in the new Werewolf video game, Andre. I certainly hope not, because that would mean that one was cancelled, which it isn't. As far as I'm aware, I don't think so. I saw it promoted just yesterday. There is a Werewolf the Apocalypse game coming up by Cyanide Studios, I think they're called. Dan asks, what was my job at Paradox? I was a writer and content designer. And I have to be very nebulous over what exactly I was doing there, because everything is protected by non-disclosure agreements. But it was great fun, and hopefully it won't be the last of that project. Some things, you know, are difficult to kill. So what else have I been doing? Good God. What you gonna do, brother? Asks John Roddy. What you gonna do? Well, that was supposed to be Hulk Hogan. What you gonna do? Turned a bit European. I need to get my Hulk Hogan back. I've not done Hulk for quite a while. You know, it's in me to do it, but it takes a bit of building up. So Zararion says, I fully know you're most likely not the person to ask, but do you have any inside knowledge you can leak from Geist the Sin Eater 2.0, or just opinion on what we do know? Yes, I am not the right person to ask, but that's not because I know nothing about it. I'm now employed as a developer at Onyx Path full-time. That's my job. So I do know what's going on with Geist the Sin Eaters, and my best advice for you is go on the onyxpath.com, because we have been doing blog posts every single week with pieces from Geist the Sin Eaters 2.0, and I think it's going to be a sleeper hit this year. There's just a hunch, and feel free to crucify me if I'm wrong, but it really seems to be building up a lot of hype, which is interesting to me because Geist wasn't the most popular New World of Darkness game, and now it's seeing a second edition. It's really catching up with a lot of steam. I like that. Oh, the Lady Gamer has asked, I've seen your name on the book, A Golconda Story. I'm curious to know what you thought about the characters. I personally loved Lion. Well, the Lady Gamer, A Golconda Story is a novel that was written by an author by the name of Glenn Hutchins, and I edited it for him. And it's a Vampire the Masquerade novel. You can buy it through the Storyteller's Vaults. I have considered doing a read-through of it on my channel, but I'm not sure. I'll think about it. I certainly recommend you check out the Storyteller's Vault if you've never actually written, or, well, if you've always wanted to write something for World of Darkness, go on the Storyteller's Vault, because you can write your own material, take art from there for free, and upload your own books, and then sell them. And you get 50% of everything. White Wolf get the rest. So it's a pretty good deal. Yes, I do have dulcet tones, Dawnforge Cast. I need... and that's a name I didn't think I'd say for quite a while. Baldy bastard, says Kelly Stewart. I'm bald. I have certainly lost hair since I first started doing it. If you really want to shock yourself, go back to my first videos, which aren't on this website, to be fair. And kudos to anyone who can track them down. But they're on another video sharing website. My first videos on here, I have, despite the fact I was shaving my head, I still have considerably more hair than I do now. But that's age for you. It has been about 10 years since I started. So, what else? Since I'm running Mage and worked on Changeling, is there any dream source books you'd love to do for those settings? Would love to see you do a UK setting book. Good question. Well, Changing the Dreaming, I've got some hand in a book that is upcoming, and I think it has been announced because it was in the Onyx Path catalogue last year. So, Player's Guide for Changeling, which is a rather mundane title for Changeling, should be more glamorous, but I'm pretty keen on what's going to be in that. Mage the Ascension, yes, I'm very much looking forward to Gods and Monsters, which is another book that's coming up hopefully soon for Mage the Ascension, and I'm doing a little bit of work on that as well. So, will I be back on YouTube more? That's certainly the hope. Of course, the accent is still the same. I've not been living anywhere else. I'm still UK-based, and that's unlikely to ever change. After all, we have the National Health Service. For a while yet, anyway. What else have I been doing? I know I keep asking that question, but I've been doing quite a lot. Will I do a Demon the Descent review? It's unlikely I'll do any reviews of games now. I'm sorry. Well, that's not true. It's unlikely I'll do reviews of Onyx Path games. I might do rundowns of them, what this book contains and that kind of thing. But I have to avoid conflict of interest. And while I can consider myself impartial, if I start telling you this book is fantastic, it's the best Chronicles of Darkness book I've ever read, and by the way, I wrote it, it looks slightly biased. It has snowed down here like it has down where you are, really, you kid. It has indeed. Oh, and yes, I do recommend, by the way, the Lady Gamer who commented, and this is a free shout-out to you, Clara. If you want to check out another role-playing game channel hosted by a female, if you are that way inclined, and want to watch a channel that's also about role-playing games, it's just starting up, the Lady Gamer, who is in no way related, but I do know, and I have role-played with her, excellent person. She's done some really good videos, not many yet, so get in while the door is open, while it's early. Subscribe to her channel. She's done a very good rundown of the Convention of Thorns LARP that both of us attended last year. And to be honest, it stopped me from doing a video. My return video was going to be a Convention of Thorns video, and I don't really need to do one now because everything the Lady Gamer has said is what I would have said. So there you go. She is already doing me out of a job, and I'm sure she will carry on doing the same thing. Endroff says, since you've had a hand in writing Beckett's Jihad Diary, what was the biggest challenge or favourite part of doing that project? I had more than a hand, I had an arm. I was up to the shoulder in Beckett's Jihad Diary. And that was one of my first big books to develop. I co-developed it with Neil Raymond Price. I co-wrote it. I wrote quite a substantial portion of Beckett's Jihad Diary. The biggest challenge to writing it was the sheer amount of meta plot that we included in that book, because we had to go to a hell of a lot of different sources to get the correct information. And the most enjoyable part was doing all the research as well, because it encouraged me to read all my vampire books again. One of my most enjoyable chapters in that book is not one that's received the best reviews. There's a brilliant review on the website Keep on the Heathlands that speaks about Beckett's Jihad Diary and talks about the drowning of Rasputin chapter, which is based largely in South America, and introduces lineages of Cain, possibly, called the Drowned Legacies, South American, based on South American mythology. I consulted a few experts who I know who are from the area, there's a big area, in order to draw some vampire-ish legacies from South America. If you have not checked out Beckett's Jihad Diary, it's available on Drive Through RPG. Please do. I know it's a bit early to have my opus, but I am very, very happy with the way Beckett's Jihad Diary turned out. And if you ever need to know anything about Vampire the Masquerade, if you were ever confused about anything meta plot-wise, that is the book. You will only ever need that. So, what other questions? Do you know anything about the release of 20th anniversary edition of Wraith the Oblivion? Yes, the PDF has already gone out to the backers of Wraith the Oblivion 20th Anniversary Edition. We're currently collating errata. The feedback on that book has been fantastic, which is good, because, again, it was another book for which I wrote. And there's been some things we've spotted that need to be changed, but that's what the errata pass is for. And now we're going to get that all fixed. We're finishing off the map of Stygia, and then, with any luck, it should come out in PDF form at first for non-backers. And hopefully shortly thereafter it will be available on print on demand. So yeah, is Beckett's Diary very spoilery? I don't want to spoil the vampire campaign I am in. It's only spoilery if you are cleaving to the meta plot entirely, but even then, most of the material in Beckett's Jihad Diary is new. Would any of the South American bloodlines be related to Nurgle? Oh, quite possibly. I didn't make them up in a vacuum. Have the physical copies of Beckett's Jihad Diary shipped yet? No, not yet. Not yet. But hopefully not long. In fact, I know where they are. They're being bound, covered, and so on. Taken up any new hobbies lately, or has life been solely focusing on the writing? I guess parenthood is a bit of a hobby. It's fun. I enjoy it. A lot of swimming with my son. So most of it's been gaming, to be honest. I work on games and then I game when I'm free, or I do my daddy duties. So what else? What other questions have we got? Why haven't I uploaded in here forever? I thought I'd probably given up on YouTube. That was a very badly passed sentence. Sorry, Kill Yourself, which is a wonderful username. Why haven't I uploaded in a long time? Just time, effort, and energy, but also because it's actually quite difficult. Even though we're lucky enough to have a few rooms in this house, I'm working during the day. I don't particularly like writing at night, although I do quite often. So it gets to the evening when I would typically record, and at that point my son is sleeping. Quite frankly, I don't want to have to whisper over the camera like this, because you probably can't hear me very well, and I don't want to have to speak like this for fear of waking him up. He's still quite young. I wrote up the Drowned Legacies. Yes, that is correct, Sir Suran. And hello, Lucita de Aragon. Hello, Natalie. What are my thoughts about V5 so far? There's been plenty of discussion. What do I think about the Hunger Dice system? I really like the Hunger Dice system. I would say that, of course, because I'm working on it. Oh, God, I can't... tell us more about They Came From Beneath the Sea, John. Well, thank you very much, John. I'm glad you asked. They Came From Beneath the Sea is using the story path system, which is also used for Scion and Trinity. Trinity, the role-playing game, is currently on Kickstarter with only about 2 days left. Please check it out, even if you're not interested in backing it. Just check it out because most of the text is available via the updates. So you only need to back it for $1 and you can pretty much access all of the text. So, you know, it doesn't hurt. And you can always pull your pledge at the end if you don't want to pay. They Came From Beneath the Sea uses some fantastic mechanisms like quips. Quips are doled out to your characters at the beginning of the game. And if you use them, they're like stunning quotes that you can use at a certain point in a cinematic way. You gain bonuses in the course of the game. There are cinematic events that you can put into place as the director, or rather as the players, where you can suddenly shift the I guess speed of the game. For instance, if you're about to face certain doom, you can insert a missing reel in your movie, in your game, and then you have to narrate the next scene that you turn up in. You're not allowed to mention what happened in the missing reel except for the fact somehow you didn't all die. Maybe we will get They Came From Beneath the Sea dice, Peter. I hope so. What else do we have? So I won't keep labouring it, but I hope you will check out They Came From Beneath the Sea when it's on Kickstarter. I'm going to scroll up on the questions a little, just so I don't miss any. Well, in fact, I know I've missed a ton. So I was asked, what did I do for Paradox Interactive? I can't say. It's a non-disclosure agreement, but I guarantee I did work there, and it was very good fun. But excellent company. And I hope to work for them again at some point. Is Paradox making the vampire game, as in Bloodlines? And as asked previously, as far as I know, Paradox isn't creating a Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. That doesn't mean it's not being made, but it's not by Paradox. As far as I know, I was only a freelancer. 119 people have a year's worth of questions. You monster, don't you run. I won't run then. So what else have we seen? So a Golconda story again. Yes, a Golconda story is a novel I edited, the Vampire the Masquerade novel by Glenn Hutchins. Check it out. It's on the Storyteller's Vault. You will be surprised. What do I think about the state of Wraith 20th? I'm very happy with the state of Wraith 20th. It's going to have flaws in it, like all books that size have, but that's why we have an errata pass, so we can fix them. What do I think in trying to create new story in the old world of darkness? More content, to be precise. I think it's quite possible. It's the world. And Beckett's Jihad Diary, sorry to self-promote, opens up every single part of the world of darkness for vampires anyway to new exploration. I think the biggest praise that Beckett's has received is the fact that there is so much chronicle potential in that book that you could be playing it for hundreds of years and you would, well, be dead. But at the end of every single chapter, you have at least a dozen chronicle hooks. And in the chapter, you have as many chronicle hooks as you can derive from the text. So I think it is more than possible to create new stories in the world of darkness. Do I find the Ananasi to be the hardest Ferrer to roleplay? No, I'll take the Rokir because aquatic-based werewolf games aren't really my bag. So, you have been reading the Geist blog post, Zararion. I'm very glad to hear it. The developer on Geist is fantastic at his job, so I really hope you enjoy that book when it comes out. I have been playing Shadowrun Anarchy, by the way, Dawnforge Cast. I played it at one of the conventions on the South Coast, and I really enjoyed it. It's been a while since I played Shadowrun, and no doubt most of you have seen my video where I talk about a certain Shadowrun game that I played and that wasn't a grand success, but this one really was a lot of fun. What do I expect the future of the Vampire franchise to be in pen and paper, video games, maybe even a Netflix series? What do I think? What would I like? All three of those. I know there's a P&P game coming out because I'm working on it. Video games, I would be amazed if there isn't a video game coming out, quite frankly. And a Netflix series, it's certainly the intention that we do a Netflix series. I think all of them would be brilliant. I agree. Geist was something of a miss back in the day, very on, because there were only about 2 books for it. It had a lack of content, as you say. What else have we got? So I'm just scrolling down very, very quickly, and by all means you can tune in just to listen to my lovely voice, except when I change it like that. Now, Changeling didn't consume Geist's expansions the first time around Zerarion. It was just that Changing the Lost was so amazingly popular that it made sense to keep releasing books for it. Let's see, what else do we do? Will I be going to the second Convention of Thorns? Technically, I went to the second one. Will I be going to the third one? No, I don't think I'll be going this year. Simply a matter of cost, and I have other conventions to attend. I do recommend you check out the Lady Gamer's video about the Convention of Thorns. That should help you decide whether you want to go or not. There are positives and negatives. The positives, you could argue, outweigh the negatives. Certainly, my current feeling is that, but there were some negatives that you'll probably want to be aware of. Do I still get to play or GM? Yes, I do. Until relatively recently, I was playing a sci-fi game called Faith, and I have been GMing or storytelling Mage the Ascension up until last Thursday, and we'll be doing it again this Thursday. Have I seen the supplement on Gargoyles in the Storyteller's Vault, Soda Ogre? Now, I'm going to have to confess something here, that other than the books in the Storyteller's Vault that I've contributed to, I don't read much on there. I don't think I've read anything on there. There's a good reason for that, and that's because while I'm working on Vampire, I need to make sure that content I'm adding to Vampire doesn't come from fan material. And it's quite easy. If I don't know, here's a bit of Vampire trivia for you. A lot of people have heard of the Sons of Discord, which was a bloodline, a male version of the Daughters of Cacophony in Vampire the Masquerade. The Sons of Discord were actually fan creations, but they built up enough steam that a writer added them to a Vampire the Masquerade book, not realizing that they weren't canonical. Now, this didn't lead to any problems, but it could have. And so I need to be quite careful about what I read, just in case it just gets mixed up in my increasingly aged brain. I could do a series on Kickstarter games I have a huge interest in and give some exposition. I don't really need to, because, you know, there's this fantastic Kickstarter sort of tracker. There's a lady whose name is Jennifer Fuss. Big fan of the Giovanni, as I found. And she does a blog on Kickstarter games coming up. Well, basically all role-playing games, board games, card games, and the like that are on Kickstarter. See, I've been done out of a job. I don't need to do anything like that. What about White Wolf Law vids? Well, I've been doing them for quite some time, Matthew, but you never know. I might do some more. Live streaming campaigns became something of a trend. Did you think about doing that as well? I did live stream campaigns. If you look back far enough on my channel, damn it, I started the trend. I was there before Geek and Sundry. What else? What do I think of trying to create original content? No, we've answered that. I should make a side business voicing audiobooks. I have voiced some audiobooks. They're under NDA, whether they'll ever be released, because when I did them was about 2 years ago. By all means, if you have an audiobook and you want me to record the various voices for it with an all-star cast, just me, I will do it. Just pay me. And do it legally. Am I going to do a Mage the Ascension character generation video? Well, if I'm in enough of a mood tonight after we get through this rambling, meandering nonsense, I will. I'll go straight on and get straight onto a Mage the Ascension character creation video. How about that? Do I think the New World of Darkness, or Chronicles of Darkness as it's now known, has the potential to be better than Classic, or do you think it won't even hold a candle? I think both are fantastic. Not just saying that because I thought this before I worked for Onyx Path full-time, and I think they both offer a very different style of game. I used to prefer Requiem to Masquerade in the big way. This was even before 2nd edition. Just for role-playing ability, role-playing possibilities. But these days, I think they both offer me a different experience, and so I can't really say one is better than the other, because it's a bit like comparing Citizen Kane to Ghostbusters. It's not a bad comparison, really. Thank you, Kill Yourself, for saying I'm glad you're back. I should check out Storyteller Spira. She runs some really amazing vampire sessions. I shall. Dawnforge Cast wants me to sell him on World of Darkness. Well, am I in a salesman mood? So how would I sell someone on World of Darkness? Well, I would sell someone on World of Darkness by basically convincing them, as you are a big fantasy fan, that this is still a massive fantasy campaign. The World of Darkness in particular, more than Chronicles of Darkness, is quite existential in its horror, where you are playing vampires who will build themselves up in power and constantly have to wrest power from monsters infinitely more powerful than themselves. Rather than dungeons, you have nightclubs with labyrinths underneath them. Rather than vampire lords living in castles, you have vampire princes living in skyscrapers. You have to have a little bit of resource management in Vampire the Masquerade, which some people enjoy, which doesn't often appear in D&D and Pathfinder, where you have to not only maintain your haven, but also your territory, your feeding ground. You have to subsist, but you also have to go through the tragedy of losing your mortal connections, and those span from everything from your family, your loved ones, your friends, your job, your colleagues. And how do you pay your landlord rent when you're a vampire and you can't work? You have to start doing shady things. You have to start doing criminal activities in order to just get enough money to get by. World of Darkness offers a plethora of opportunities for roleplay. You can, of course, go on your grand treks to slay elders and drink their vitae and become more powerful yourself. You can play the political game and try to become primogen councillors or the prince of a city. You could focus entirely on increasing your blood powers, your disciplines, and become a force to be reckoned with in a city. You could cleave to the Camarilla and fight for the traditions and the Masquerade. You become an anarch and fight against the man, or you become Sabbat and fight against the Methuselahs and the Antediluvians, your clan founders who are slowly waking up. The World of Darkness isn't just a gothic horror game, a broody, moody, emo game. It is a game that has all the potential of playing any game set in the modern era, but with powers and tragedy and loss. So where every time you get more powerful, technically, you're losing a little bit more, because when you start dominating someone every single night, that's one of the powers. You look into their eyes and you tell them to forget what you've just done to them. You are slowly, in increments, losing what made you human. That's my sales pitch on World of Darkness for now. Bianca wants to see a lady-gentleman collaboration. I'm sure that's quite possible. So what are your thoughts about V5 so far? I've already answered that one. I'm getting there. I'm getting there on all your questions. I will do a character generation from age 20. Will Onyx Path ever turn their books into audiobooks? Not the clan novels, because they're owned by White Wolf. Onyx Path will probably do so for games like Pugmire, however. Brandon met me at Gen Con last year. Great time. We were dual Christopher Walkens. Yes, we were. We were doing Christopher Walken at each other because we were going very high, but we were going very low as well. It was very good fun. I can't remember how long we were doing that for, but I remember it was quite a while. Over copies of V20 Dark Ages Companion. So yeah, we were doing a lot of Christopher Walkening at Gen Con while I was supposed to be selling things. There's no surprise I'm not being invited back. I'm going to Gen Con this year, by the way. Seems to be an annual staple now. So what else have we got here? I'm making my way down the list. The merits weren't missing from Wraith 20. Bury on, the reference to merits being in the book was incorrect. The merits weren't supposed to be in the book. So now you have your answer. Wiebert Hest, or Herbert West, if you prefer, is saying why I have my physical copy of Beckett's Jihad Diary. That's because you can order a physical copy off Drive-Thru RPG. What we're talking about is the deluxe copy. Well, that's what I was talking about. Is there any Storyteller Vault content I recommend? Ariadne Quinn, it's good to see you again. I recommend that you check out, at least at first, some of the contributions I've created, not because that I did them. They're free. They pay what you want. I've got a Blood Brothers Bloodline book. I have a Ghiberti clan book, I guess. Those are for Victorian Age and Kindred of the Emny Kingdom. They're free. They'll let you know the kind of content you'll find. Of course, it would be remiss of me not to recommend a Golconda story because I edited it. And also the books that are coming out that tie into Beckett's Jihad Diary. Apparently very good as well. Well, I had a little oversight of them, but I'm not getting any cut from them. Hello to Lord Camden. Yes, we've done that. See, I've scrolled back up. If there is no vampire content coming and no expansions and stories and lore, where would you focus your time? Because while you have other projects, you're most known for vampire. Luckily, I also know Wraith, Mage, Werewolf, Changeling, and all those Chronicles of Darkness books behind me. There's quite a lot of them. So don't worry, there's plenty of things I can spend my time on. I've spent the last year quite fruitfully. Rob has asked whether I get to work on Book of Oblivion. I can guarantee I will be involved in that book in some manner or other. Dwarfwashcast doesn't want to play wicked characters in Vampire. Well, in that case, you play a character who is struggling to restrain himself from being wicked. You have in V20 at least, and in fact you will have this in V5, a humanity meter. So the more humane you are, the higher it is, the less monstrous you are. And of course, it's a greater struggle to remain human when you're still trying to drink blood every single night. But that's where the challenge of the game comes in. Anarchy Jesus says, my mama is my papa, yo papa is your mama. I really hope not. That would confuse them. I think I've lost my place now. Oh no. I hope I've not missed all of these comments. Oh my god. Oh good lord. Okay. I'm getting there. Yeah, Soren, there is more to the Drowned Legacies in Beckett's Jihad Diary than what is written in them. Definitely. They all have background. Bowler Rice asks, what's my opinion on the European immigration crisis? I'm all in favor of migration. It's how the world works. It's how the world is made. General 2 wants to know, would I continue making the Ivory Wall, or at least along the lines of continuing doing my recorded live play sessions? It's quite possible, depending on John and Eunice's availability. That was a good game, Vampire the Masquerade, that's on my channel. What other questions do we have? Is Beckett's Jihad Diary the last V20 official book? Right now it is. You never know what might come out down the pipeline, but it's certainly the last one on the schedule at this time. What game of Chronicles of Darkness would I recommend for a new narrator? See, this people might disagree with this, but I recommend Promethean because it's a wholly different game to any other Chronicles of Darkness game. You can play a very tightly knit group. A throng of Prometheans in it. The challenge in it is something an awful lot of role players can relate to, or an awful lot of outsiders in society can relate to as well. I think Promethean Created is one of the deepest, especially for horror as well, because you are playing creatures who should not exist, should not be, and yet you're striving to become human. So there's hope at the end as well. It's a game where you need to get out of the headspace that most Chronicles and World of Darkness games put you in, which is, I have this city, it is my home, I will never go anywhere else. Promethean is a game where you will wander, you will explore the world, which ties in quite well to the way an awful lot of role players or a lot of GMs expect a game to go. You know, the large exploration from city to dungeon to hill fort to wherever. You get that with Promethean as well. So I always recommend Promethean the Created, and everyone I've recommended it to who's come back to me has said it was a good choice. Endroff12 says, Beckett's Jihad Diary is a labour of love, but it's also so well organised. I love that it's been organised by City and hope we continue seeing this type of layout for future books. You can thank, well, myself and Neil Raymond Price, the developers, for that layout, but also Mike Cheney, our art director, for so skillfully putting all of the documents that we created in a reasonable manner. Ali Asian, I think, or Aslan, it might be Aslan, sorry, I can't see that well, says, I'm from Istanbul and I run a game which focuses on my city. Beckett's Jihad Diary helped me a lot to expand my game to the Middle East. I'm planning to shake the game with the sarcophagus. Any suggestions for me? Yes, run away. If you find that sarcophagus, don't open it. Can I talk about the situation with foreign language licenses for World of Darkness and Chronicles of Darkness? Why there are no German books coming out? Sadly not. I recommend getting in touch with Onyx Path, though. On the Onyx Path website, there is a contacts email. We should be able to give you an answer, but you'd have to email us. Anarchy Jesus says, your mama watches 310 to Yuma. I imagine she's asleep by now. Is V5 going to be print on demand? I don't know. I'm not in charge of production of V5. I'm just writing the damn thing. Long time no see indeed. Since Vampire 5th Edition features some of your own characters, do you know who came up with the paedophile vampire and the one kept an orphanage? Does V5 contain some of my own characters? I know Abraham Wolf gets mentioned in the first playtest, but I didn't write that. That was before I came on board. Just as a clarification, what do you mean by Beketcha Hadzari not being out in print? I have my print-on-demand copy. Sorry, you can get it print-on-demand. I meant the deluxe version. Am I going to any conventions in Europe this year? I'll be going to the UK Games Expo. And if I'm invited to any conventions on the European mainland that I love, then by all means, I will attend. Where do I go to game? There's actually several clubs where I live, but I go to a friend's house where we've got a very intimate group at this point. And I'm glad I witnessed one. I gave you a lot of insight that improved your games. The Gangrel race is your favorite. The Gangrel don't really consider themselves a race, but I'm sure some of them will be pleased to be considered that. Speaking of conventions, plans on returning to your convention recaps. Those are always a blast. Oh, hello, Gertrude Perkins. Sizzling Gypsies. Have you seen the single-player RPG coming out this summer called Vampire? Looks like it could be really good. I have seen it. I'm withholding judgment because I saw an awful lot of similarities to Vampire the Masquerade, and now that I'm involved with it on a professional basis, I need to be careful with what I associate. Clay Pollard, I'd love it if you could do a TV series, but regardless, I love all your content. Me, a TV series? Good God, I can't see that ever happening. Who would put my face on TV? Dolce Skies loves the Sombra. Well, we all make mistakes. Jax 302, did your idea about being an alien parasite in World of Darkness gain any traction at Onyx? No. But you never know. It might do in the future. Any plans for more character generation streams in the future? Major the Ascension 20th after this video is done. Gertrude Perkins wants to know, does anyone know why Sean Connors has jumped on the Flat Earth bandwagon? He is lecturing at the UK Flat Earth Conference 2018. Are you joking? This is news to me. If Sean Connors is lecturing at the Flat Earth Convention, that is a wow. I hope you are joking. I know he was a UKIP. He was rallying for UKIP, so I guess the two kind of go hand in hand. I know that's a very political comment, but if you fuck UKIP, fuck you. Sorry, I'm apparently not supposed to swear on YouTube anymore. Endroff12, do you have any plans to do a similar series to the Clan ones once V5 comes out, or have I explored running RPG games over Discord? I have explored Discord, actually, subtly, and it's very good. Would I do V5 clans? Maybe, if White Wolf wanted me to. Now that I work for them, hopefully they'll pay me for it. What about an audio drama? Would I mind playing a character in that? I would, if someone pays me for it. How does a vampire take down a mage? Waits 100 years for the mage to die. How much do I charge? Send me a message or drop me an email. My email address is on my channel, and we'll talk figures. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm generally open to work. Now, I'm going to lose my place again because my finger slipped. I was holding on for quite some time there. So I do hope that I don't miss your questions. Any whispers on the return of Abraham Wolf? Abraham Wolf died in the pre-alpha playtest for V5. Not my choice. He was dead. He's in Beketcha Hadzari. He dies in the V5 pre-alpha playtest that I didn't write. There you go. And so, Alexandra, you're seriously jealous of my group. I'm sorry if I missed your questions. There are a lot of them. There's always groups. There's always groups of World of Darkness players. All you have to do is ask. Go on the Onyx Path forum or RPGNet. You'll find a group. If you want to play with me, that's slightly different. We'll talk about setting up a Patreon account and we'll book some time. Where did I go? Asks Rusty Marriott. I was working hard. What's my favorite vampire clan? Tonight's favorite vampire clan will be Bruja. Is the gentleman back? Says John Gallaudet. I never went away. That's not true. I did go away. But hopefully I'll be back a little more regularly. How did I start writing for games? I've got a video on that very subject, Ellie, and I think it's called How Do You Start Writing for RPGs? Please check it out because it's quite a long story, and just go on my videos on my channel, click on videos, you'll find it. Is there a possibility that my fan-made Asian clans could become canon? I've not pitched them. I don't think they would. I wouldn't want them to be honest. Something I've already put out there as, I guess, fanon. I wouldn't want to suddenly get integrated into the game necessarily. I mean, Abraham Wolf is something of an exception to that because he's a pretty minor character, all things considered. Paddy asks, do you think you'll get back into uploading video game playthroughs? Your Bioshock videos were very entertaining. Thank you. Well, I'm not going to upload into the Gent in Question channel because I got locked out of there. Maybe, you know, if time suddenly avails itself of me, I guess what you've got to hope for is that I stop getting writing work, because if I do, I can start playing video games again. I do play video games. I recommend Distrust. It's an indie game on Steam, costs about £4 or so, about $7. And it's like The Thing, and there's only 6 or 7 levels to it, but it's a very good game. Quite difficult. Have I had any hand in Monarchies of Mao? Asked John Galudek. Yes, I wrote a couple of chapters for it. I'm looking forward to its release. I do love pets, as everyone not here knows. Any chance of me remaking old Masquerade clan videos? Nah, they're already there. They're in perpetuity. Good or bad, that is where they stay. Tebus Phalanx says, it's a pleasure seeing me back. It's a pleasure to see you too, Tebus. Empowerler says, hooray, the gent is back. Hooray, I am. What are my 2 cents on the Tal Mahayra? Firstly, my first cent is you pronounce it Tal Mahayra. Now you know. Wormbelly. And also, my second cent on the Tal Mahayra is I love having a conspiracy behind the main sects. Whether it's the Inconnu, the Tal Mahayra, conspiracy after conspiracy, it helps give a game depth. So I'm working on the C20 Player's Guide. Don't much about it or what is going on, but I will ask if you make something up for the new Thalane. Well, you will see. Maybe you will see. Dan Ross, how will I recommend getting into Vampire? Go on the Onyx Path Forum or RPGNet. Find a group. Will I be playing the werewolf game by Cyanide? Almost definitely. Did I have fun at the Convention of Thorns? Yes, there were some blips, but mostly it was fun. I love playing Roger de Camden, the Seneschal, Cappadocian Seneschal, to Prince Mithras. And, by the way, I got the Cappadocians acknowledged by the Camarilla, and I was the 8th Justicar. So the Cappadocians got revived, and we took out Claudius Giovanni at the end. It was quite satisfying. Did I ever expand Pentex into a full-length section of a vampire book? Actually, check out the Pentex Employee Indoctrination Handbook. You can get it on DriveThruRPG. The Guide to Pentex, the Endron section, the Magadon section, that's all written by me. The Guide to Pentex actually ties into my videos that are on this channel. So maybe I was talking out of my arse when I said nothing fan-made should get into a book. I speak out of both sides of my mouth, as they say. Brett Brennan says, it's good to see me again. Thanks, Brett. General again. I know you mentioned a video on this, but I would be committing a crime if I didn't suggest you branching out to things like Patreon, Twitch, and having my own Discord group. I would, but before I start asking people for money, I need to know that I'm committed to this channel. I know there's, and this is going to be me sounding all holier than thou, but I know there's an awful lot of people that will set up a Patreon and then start up a channel and say, send me money. And I really can't stand that. I know I've got several years worth of footage on this channel, but I've not contributed to it in a very long time. So I'd much rather get back on the wagon and then set up a Patreon account if I know I can keep the momentum going. So it is in my mind, but I don't want to start taking people's money just to let them down. John Guladek says, gentlemen, hurry up and make donations a thing. Or sponsors are a way to fun. Need more gentlemen. Well, you know, I'm never going to stop people sending me money. I've always said that, but no one ever has. Does Dracula exist in Vampire the Requiem? Yes, more than one, actually, Ryu. Franklin, would you please tell me what site where people can upload their own World of Darkness stories again? Storytellersvault.com. Or just type in Storytellers Vault into Google. What's your opinion on the Beast Player's Guide? Any hints on content? Just gone through editing and proofing all at once. And any hints on content? If you're a fan of Beast the Primordial, I think this will complete the game for you, quite frankly. I think this, once you've got this, you will have a complete Beast experience. Am I going to have Ed Greenwood back for an interview? The man's amazing after all. If he's available, I would love to interview Ed again. He's a lovely guy. I've spoken to him several times since that interview, and mostly by email, but I hope to work with him one day. The best stuff on those shelves is in those 3 boxes in the bottom left. 3 boxes in the bottom left. Now, where is the bottom left in comparison to you? Scythe? Are you looking at Scythe, Talisman and Vampire the Requiem, Prince of the City? Or are you looking at Bioshock Infinite, Okami, Metal Gear Solid 3, Subsistence, a Game of Thrones card game? I don't know. Hello from Serbia. Pass a hello to Dylan. Hello, Milan. Okay, so Milan Popovic, who I've never met, I've never spoken to before, has just commented, and this is the weirdest situation. So here's a little insight into my life that I've never told you. I don't think I've ever told you. Before I was on YouTube, or, well, no, but before I was doing writing full-time, my job, my full-time job was as a trainer. I was a trainer, technical trainer. I could train people on anything. Basically, you know, you give me a subject, I would learn about it. I would be able to train a class for the people on it. I have a good mind for material. I can regurgitate it, put it in some kind of format that people understand, train people on it. I guess that's probably why my videos are slightly popular. One of my colleagues was a guy by the name of Dylan. He left that job shortly before I did, and he took a job that had him traveling all the way around the world. It just so happened that he went to Serbia. He'd never been there before. He was in a bar in Serbia, and he was talking to someone about role-playing, and he mentioned Beckett's Jihad Diary, because he mentioned, oh, well, I role-play as a hobby. My colleague, Matthew Dawkins, that's my name, worked on a big book called Beckett's Jihad Diary. Another guy at another table said Beckett's Jihad Diary, and somehow they got talking and said, yeah, well, I know one of the authors, Matthew Dawkins. He has a YouTube channel called The Gentleman Gamer. Milan, this Serbian who I've never encountered, said, oh, Gentleman Gamer, yeah, I love his channel. And so Dylan took a photo of them and sent it to me all the way back in the UK. A very small world. So hello to Serbia, Milan and Dylan. I'm glad you encountered each other. One of the weirdest encounters I've ever heard of. Louis Garcia, what makes Vampire the Requiem unique compared to Masquerade? I think Vampire the Requiem's biggest cornerstone is its personal horror. Vampire the Masquerade has always been more existential. Requiem is more personal, more about the character's soul at being at stake, to use a turn of phrase. Will I be involved with the 2nd edition of Demon the Fallen, if that's what it's called, as in Demon 20th Anniversary Edition, or Demon the Descent 2nd Edition? If they're either, probably yes. But neither has been announced. Armored Snake, Gangrel or Ventru. John Gallaudet, I lost my mind when I saw the gentleman streaming. Oh, not Cthulhu. Cephalopod asks, what's my favourite food? Oh, good question. Belly of pork. Brett Bren, will Vampire the Masquerade YouTube experiment return? It's still going. Go on Facebook, look up VTMYTE, you'll find the group. Rarebit, in the Vampire 5th playtest, do you know who came up with the paedophile vampire and the one who owned an orphanage? I do not. That was created before I came on board. And the alpha playtest was written by me. And a couple of others. Berserker's Blade, any chance of more GM tips videos? Your video on location descriptions was really helpful. That video actually got me a job. That's what got me hired to work on the Cult RPG, Cult with a K. Yeah, that's actually one that's on my list that I've not looked at for a year. So to do more GM tips video. I'm not joking either. The guy, the developer of Cult, the new edition, saw that video and he reached out to me for work. So there we go. What other questions do we have? Wow, you're alive. Yes, I am not dead. And in case you need confirmation of that fact, look me up, Matthew Dawkins, on DriveThruRPG. Buy my stuff. Not that I get any credit for that. I don't get royalties, but, you know, I like people reading what I've written. Almighty Q says, they love my videos. I was curious about your take on play-by-post that allows your players to make elders and how you think you would do it. Oh, that's a long question for this video. I've got no problem with play-by-post. I don't really enjoy it because I like a more immediate game, but I can absolutely see why people do it. PlanetVampire.com says, I've never read up on what happened to Christoph and Aneska after redemption as many times I've played. Did he ever stop whining? Christoph appears in Beckett's Jihad Diary, PlanetVampire.com. Please check it out. He has a second wind there, Christoph Ramold. The Alien File says, hi there, you must forgive my poor grammar and spelling as I'm on the phone and cannot actively... Why am I reading this out? See what I am typing as I type. I just wanted to say I love your work on YouTube and it's good to see you. Your grammar and spelling is perfect, The Alien Files, and thank you for saying that. What was my favourite part of Demon the Descent, asks Basic204. Oh, I could say the character creation, but I would actually go and say the antagonists. I love the idea of angels. They're just so damn weird in that game. I love it. I find most games, heroes are defined by their antagonists. You know, heroes as good as his villains, hence why Batman is as popular as he is, and same with Spider-Man. Well, that's a large reason. Yes, please do read Promethean. Promethean the Created 2nd edition. Look it up. Dolce Sky is so happy that they hit the bell and came here. Well, I'm happy you did too. Steve Faust says, a Ravenosh, you can have that exploring and vampire as well. You can. The Lady Gamer, hello again. Why did you choose to play Lord Camden at Convention of Thorns, and how did he develop throughout the game? I chose to play Lord Camden because he is one of my favourite characters to write about in my various work on World of Darkness. I'm a big fan of the Cappadocians. You'll have to excuse my lack of gesticulation right now. It's because I've been slowly scrolling. So Lord Camden is the Cappadocian seneschal to Prince Mithras of London. I really wanted to play that character. He's powerful, but he's not on the throne, so he's not vying to be prince or anything like that. He was the only Cappadocian there, so that allowed me to feel like a special little snowflake. And I held the somewhat controversial view that all characters should be snowflakes, because what's the point in playing a character if they're not interesting to you? You know, there's a reason characters like Drizzt Do'Urden and Aragorn are as popular as they are or were, and that's not because they blend into the crowd. How did he develop throughout the game? Well, he ended up taking a particular liking to a young Giovanni who he realized he could convert over to his cause and turn against the rest of her clan, thus causing fractures in the Giovanni clan at the Convention of Thorns and resulting in the Cappadocians joining the Camarilla and the Giovanni being cast out as devil kindred. So how did I develop? I basically won the Convention of Thorns. A lot of people came up to me and said, I don't know how you did that. I don't either. All I know is I spent 3 nights doing nothing but engaging in political meetings, and they all went very, very well. Thank you very much for getting back into storytelling, Weaver Hest. That's difficult to say. General 2 says in the V5 Berlin keynotes there was mention of Neapolis type princedoms. At least they would be more common as princes no longer have to lean aside on the traditions. What are your thoughts? Yes, there should absolutely be different types of princedoms, praxis, anarch, baronies. It shouldn't all just be feudal rulership, and we'll be exploring that in V5. Lots of different types of rulership. Kid Bamf, have I seen Black Panther? I haven't, actually. I've not been to the cinema in some time, and I don't stream movies. Well, not illegally anyway, because I'm a good boy. Did I see the new Trek series, Alistair? I'm not a big fan of Star Trek. I always say that, and I've watched pretty much all Star Trek. I have seen Discovery. I liked it. I thought it was very, very different, which was the point. But very Galactica. I loved the Battlestar Galactica reimagining, so I really enjoyed Discovery. I will be interested to see where it goes next and if it can keep riding this wave. Zerarion, Promethean is not... okay, this is my opinion. I don't consider Promethean hard to roleplay. I think it is a roleplay where you really get into, I guess, personal struggles. It's the sort of game that can leave you crying. It can leave you feeling something at the end of it, and I like that. It's not a game you get engaged with for the sake of just hitting things. That's for damn sure. Mizo says, how are you and where have you been? Best book you've read in your absence? Oh, good question. Where have I been? I've been working. How am I? I'm very well. And best book I have read in my absence, a best book that's not a role-playing game, probably Farewell, My Lovely by Raymond Chandler. Archduke of Chaos. Would it be possible one day to get a gentleman's guide to changelings? It would be possible, but I have quite a list. Traditions, guilds, kiths, maybe? Anderson Paladin says, am I watching the Planet Apocalypse Kickstarter? Looks pretty sweet. I am. I backed it. Vixter says, glad you're back. Love your convention recaps. Good God, I didn't realize they were so popular. Becoming Jason says, looking forward to seeing you in the UK Games Expo bar. I'm looking forward to seeing you as well, Jason. It'll be good to see you again. It has been a while, and things have changed a lot since then. Chris the Pyro, Tremere is probably my favorite. There's no accounting for taste or lack of it. So I'm going to skim through some of these questions right now. Well, Basic 204, I've been running several Chronicles of Darkness games in a single continuous world for some time now. I've ended up having to write so much content for New York. Good for you. I'm glad. I like writing out a setting where it feels fleshed out and real. Zach Ball says, glad to make it on time. Love your work, GG. Thank you very much, Zach. And I'm glad you managed to tune in for this. And to the one person who disliked, fuck you. Will the Storyteller Vault allow me to publish any of this content? Chronicles of Darkness isn't on Storyteller's Vault yet, but you don't know. It might come up soon, or sooner or later. What I would recommend is, if that's really good content, feel free to put that in as Masquerade content. You know, just adjust it slightly. If it's good, if it's well written, then do it. Gertrude Perkins is not joking. Sean Connors has joined a Flat Earth Society. Oh, well. Oh, so to answer people's questions, Sean Connors is another old, I guess, role-playing game YouTuber. And he and I and our channels very rarely crossed paths because, I don't know, I never really gelled with his opinions. I don't think he really gelled with mine. And I guess the same applies politically. And to hear he's now a Flat Earther is stunning. There is an alien parasite splat in the Immortals book. That wasn't what I was thinking, but bury on. It's interesting you mentioned that because I wrote up those alien parasites for Dark Era's companion, and that is kind of what I was going for with my idea. Make a half werewolf, half vampire, says Ryu. No. That would be an abomination, quite literally, in this game. I'm amazed all of you are asking so many questions, and you think that I'm going to get to all of them. But you know what? I will try. Have I got any great World of Darkness YouTube channels I like? Just mine, Truemate. Do I like being petted, says Rarebit. By what or who? Telemachus 2814. I know you attempt to do a modded Vampire the Masquerade Bloodline playthrough. I'd love to see another one. Give me time. Am I going to COT 3? Says Natalie Manzarenko. And lovely to see you, Natalie. And we'll have to do another interview at some point. So that was on Natalie's channel or channel to which she's affiliated. Probably not. I'm a sight for sore eyes, says Rip Brendan Raw. Thank you very much. I hope your eyes aren't too sore. Drex710 says, glad I'm back. It's sad that I got a rest now. We'll check this out again as soon as I can. Decknet says, any more dabbles into voice acting? Because he missed my voice, or she missed my voice, or they missed my voice. I did do some. Sorry for the I did do some. And it is currently under NDA on a project I doubt will ever see the light of day. Do I believe in Taxi Driver Kane? I believe in Taxi Driver Travis Bickle. Favorite clan right now? Davo. John CM, you heard any good rumors about Hunter 2nd Edition? I don't need to hear rumors. All I need to do is look at the draft, and I think you'll be pleased. What's the werewolf game called? I believe it. Well, just look at Werewolf the Apocalypse video game, Grady, and you'll find it. Chance, so are they keeping the old World of Darkness lore? Or are they reimagining it? No, it's a continuation of World of Darkness, Chance. Bury on, yes, the Pentex Employee Manual was a great read. Thank you for saying so. I wrote part of it, as you know. Lord General Militant says, how would I incorporate the Purified in a game of World of Darkness? Without few changes, because the Purified work pretty well in Chronicles of Darkness as they are. They're in World of Darkness Immortals, if you're unfamiliar with that. Yeah, Grady, the video game Heart of Gaia is not the one that is coming out now. Bury on, who and what is Dr. Harold Zettler is one of the questions in the Pentex Employee Indoctrination Handbook, and I'm not giving you the answer. What did you think of the 1996 series Kindred the Embraced? It's actually not that bad, to be honest. You know, it's no worse than Dawson's Creek. Anything exciting we don't know about Beneath the Sea? There's a lot that's beneath the sea that you don't know, Casey. A lot. What can I give you? So, something you don't know yet. We have these things called stunts that are in the game, and the stunts come at 3 different levels. And I'm going to fail at this point because we changed the names, the subtypes. But basically, these stunts allow you to perform outlandish movie-like acts. And what I will do now is give you another cinematic that's going to appear in the game. Cinematics are player devices that you can put in that make the game more cinematic. And one of them is to call the Stuntman. And so if your character is in no way physically able to perform something, you can just replace him with a generically statted Stuntman to perform the act. But if the Stuntman has to engage in dialogue with anyone, he's pulled out and your character's put back in. So you better hope that no one tries to speak to you while the building's burning around you. It is nice to have this many people in chat, TrueMate. Man with some name, would I be interested in doing a technocracy guide to the Mage traditions? I would, thank you, yes. Barry, on the bottom left is the Planescape boxes. Ah, the Planescape boxes. Yes, I managed to get some of those back. I sold most of my Planescape material way back when. And in fact, it was selling those books that kind of got me into writing. So I can't criticize it, although I would love to get them back one day. Gangrene Gang Bunny, loved my guide to vampires. Thank you very much. Gloomhaven thoughts, gentleman gamer. I think it's a fantastic game, and if you've not bought Gloomhaven, it's actually quite difficult to pick up now. Sorry to rattle the screen. Gloomhaven is a brilliant game. Hundreds of hours of gameplay out of that. Been running Vampire and Werewolf for years, ever since it started, says Grady. Phantom Apprentice, how did I get a job like that to begin with? Check out my video about getting into game writing. Gentleman Gamer is a global name, TrueMate. Can Hunter the Vigil characters be part of a Vampire the Requiem game? Absolutely, if you want them to die. But no, this is the thing. There's no reason why in Chronicles of Darkness the various lines can't work together, and that's the central concept of the Contagion Chronicle, that each of the lines can work together, because just because you're a hunter doesn't necessarily mean you consider a vampire at the same grade of threat as a true fae, let's say. It all depends what your hunter is hunting. Yeah, and you can see this in any TV show, especially the sort of Marvel stuff that's been out on Netflix recently, where quite often characters will align with each other despite the fact they don't particularly like each other. In fact, one of the best examples, especially considering it's the first Marvel TV series on Netflix, is in Daredevil, the first series, where you see the gang of criminal bosses that Kingpin has under him. So you have a Yakuza, you have triads, you have Russians, and you have an accountant. And that, to me, speaks of crossover. These people would never normally work with each other, but for the fact they have a common purpose. Alistair says, anything new about the clans in V5 I can discuss, even in vague general terms. I will discuss this in vague general terms. The sects that we know and love are slightly different come V5. Especially in terms of clan makeup. General 2, what does Demon Fallen Descent have that makes it unique? It sounds interesting, but I'm very in the dark. Demon the Descent is a game like no other, and it's techno-gnostic espionage. In a sense, it's like The Matrix. In another, it's like Brazil, not the country. Demon the Descent is a book you should read. You should read it and enjoy it, and once you have, I guarantee you'll have ideas for running it. Glade, what are my most prized games? Not the most expensive, but the ones I value the most. That's an interesting question, because I sold an awful lot of my old collection, and I don't really collect books anymore. Contrary to what it looks like behind me, I don't really buy books now just to add them to a shelf. I buy them if I think I'll use them. So looking over my shoulder, as the song goes, kind of. What game am I most fond of owning? Let's see. I guess I'm still going to have to go for Planescape. And it helps, of course, that I have it signed by Tony DiTerlizzi, the fantastic artist who did all that brilliant Changeling and Planescape art. I still love my Planescape books, and again, I would love to get them back again one day. If I had to collect anything, it would be that. Any ideas of the name of the Werewolf computer game? Type in Werewolf the Apocalypse video game into Google, you'll find it. Vlad the Impaler or Elizabeth Bathory? Vlad the Impaler, he did it first. People aren't sure whether I'm alive or a vampire. I assure you that I am neither. I hope Mummy the Resurrection gets a 20th anniversary treatment in a few years. Rob, email White Wolf, tell them the best way of getting these books published. The thing is, there's no one on forums making a big noise that they want 20th anniversary of Mummy the Resurrection. So you have to ask the question, why would we make it? I'm not saying that's the case, but if you want it, you need to get people to ask for it. It's good to be back, Armored Snake. Thank you very much. Yeah, the room is very dark. Well, you know, it's nighttime. Can you clear something up for me? VTM and VTR are drastically different, yet very similar, and in different worlds or universes, they are different worlds and universes. Do you still watch wrestling, sir? Not as often as I used to. I cancelled my WWE Network subscription, but I do watch MLW's shows, which are very, very good. And Tony Schiavone, formerly WCW commentator, does the commentary on them. And if I listen to podcasts about wrestling, Something to Wrestle With and What Happened When are brilliant podcasts that go into the background of the wrestling industry. And I know wrestling isn't something that captures a lot of your imaginations, but for me, wrestling is just role-playing. It's just role-playing with physicality. There's a lot of people putting on characters and pretending to tell stories and hit each other. So it's just role-playing on a grand stage with fireworks. Oh, thank you, Almakov. I really appreciated your work on the character generation section of Wraith 20th Anniversary. A very approachable take, which was especially important for such a key section. Thank you very much. VTR isn't the sequel to VTM. The two aren't connected like that. Do I watch the TV show Lucifer? I do not. My favorite H.P. Lovecraft writings, Mountains of Madness. VTR is pretty much set in whatever timeline I want. Yes, it is. How did I win Convention of Thorns? Because I'm Baller. That is actually correct. That is how I won. I am Baller. Am I running any games at UK Games Expo? Asked Berserker Blade. I certainly am. I am running a game of They Came From Beneath the Sea, and I'm running a game of Wraith the Oblivion 20th Anniversary. If you're going to the UK Games Expo, check on the events part of the website because you'll find me on there and sign up. What is a good build for bards in 5th edition, asks John Ruddy. I generally recommend A Stake to the Heart. Have I seen Altered Carbon? I have not. It's on my list to watch. We're on the 2nd season of Travelers. I love The Expanse, by the way. I didn't get to work on The Expanse role-playing game for Green Ronin. I've been working on Modern Age for them, and it kind of took up my time. But I'm really looking forward to seeing The Expanse RPG. So, what else do we have? What is the best way to find a game playing with a virtual tabletop? Finding players I can relate to is a huge challenge. It's not difficult to find players. I promise it's not. The number of people that have come up to me and said, I really love Wraith the Oblivion specifically, but I can't ever find anyone to play it. If all of those people had spoken to each other, they would have had a dozen game set groups by now. Go on the Onyx Path forums, go on RPGNet, look for other players. It's that easy. Have I ever written an official story for Vampire the Masquerade? If not, what would my plot be? I'm sorry, sound patronizing. That's cute. Yes, I've been writing for Vampire the Masquerade now for 3 years, I guess. I've been writing for World of Darkness and Chronicles of Darkness for 4, I think. It's difficult to tell anymore. But yes, I've written official material for Vampire the Masquerade, and I'm currently writing for the 5th edition. Would a Zemitzi be acceptable in the Camarilla? Yes. Simply, the Camarilla considers all clans members of the Camarilla. Now, would you go around advertising the fact that you're a Zemitzi or Jinisi? Possibly not. but there's no reason a Zimitzi couldn't fit in. The main reason the Zimitzi aren't is quite simple, because when a Zimitzi is embraced, you'll notice I'm pronouncing the clan name differently each time. They are subject to the Voldery, and therefore they're bound into their pack, and they're conditioned, brainwashed into becoming members of the Sabbat. It's the thing that a lot of people forget when they want to play a La Sombra who's hiding out in the Camarilla or whatever. It's quite difficult for a Sabbat member to extract him or herself from that sect and get into the Camarilla because they are so brainwashed into the rest of their sect. So they never even feel the inclination to leave. So there's no reason a Zimitzi embraced and abandoned wouldn't join the Camarilla. And in fact, I'd say that's more likely, or an Anarch leaning possibly. And the reason is this: just being a Zimitzi doesn't make you a homicidal maniac. So if a Zimitzi comes along and embraces a mortal, that fledgling could join whatever clan, whatever sect they wanted, and may even be considered Kaita for that point. I've been sort of wary of Promethean because due to its very nature, it seems like a game more suited for solitary adventures. How accurate is my impression? Cephalopod, your impression is largely correct for first edition, not at all for second. Second rectifies all of that. Zach Ball, what is something I'd love to see on the Storyteller's Vault? I'd love to see more Bloodlines books, cover Bloodlines like the Kia Seed, Harbingers of Skulls, build on the work that I did on Lore of the Bloodlines. What's my opinion on Clan of the Rose, the Alien Files? One of my favorites. They're my favorite right now as well. Weltram Fieber says, thank you for all the videos about Vampire the Masquerade. It helped me and my friends a lot to get an overview when we started the game and gave me some good ideas as a storyteller. Thank you for saying so. Chris the Pyro, what's wrong with the Tremere? What's right with the Tremere? Pelly Strandberg, do I just write setting stuff or do I do any game design? I do both. It just so happens on V5 I'm largely doing setting, but I am writing system as well, so I shouldn't pigeonhole myself. On Modern Age, I'm largely for Green Ronin, I'm largely doing system. So Cappadocians are now part of the Camarilla. What does this mean for them in the modern Knights? If only I knew, Almighty Q. Cappadocians are part of the Camarilla in the LARP that I played in, not necessarily in V5. You'll have to read V5 to find out whether that's the case. See, lots of people are asking what are my thoughts on Geist 2nd edition. And this is interesting because I mentioned earlier that Geist, I think, will be a sleeper hit for 2018. And the number of people who are commenting that they want to know about Geist 2nd edition, all I can say is go on theonyxpath.com, check the blog. We post something every week about Geist because the interest seems to be just getting higher and higher. It's really interesting that that's happening for Geist. Not because it doesn't deserve it, but just because it never really had that fan base for 1st edition. Or if it did, they were very quiet. Has anyone written a template for writing adventures for the World of Darkness or the Chronicles of Darkness on Storyteller's Vault? I think there is one. Kevin Jack says, I don't think I could say that I like Vampire the Masquerade, but I certainly like the videos on the game you ran. Thank you. Yes, even my glasses of water are magnificent, General 2. Have I read any of the books in the Joe Ledger series? I have not. Yes, I am sort of alive, Cyber D. Louis Jimenez, good to see you alive. Is there still a chance of a Mage the Awakening video, the one about character creation? You'll get a Mage the Ascension one, hopefully, after this. Kia Seed, says Dolce. What about them? Yes, I wrote them for Lore of the Bloodlines. I wanted to say I love your channel, love your storytelling style and how you create your characters and design your world. It feels amazing, and I've used a lot of what you teach me to make my own world, says Nightmare Nyland. Thank you. Phantom Apprentice is not worse than Dawson's Creek. No, that's Kindred, the Embrace TV series. Avara Sheridan got confused. Caravalos says, how's life treating you with the kid and all? At some point, I've got to breathe. Yeah, life is good. Still got time for the channel, if only later, if not sooner. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I am writing during the day and in some evenings, and I'm being a parent as well. So it takes up a lot of time. I have no regrets, regarding the YouTube channel. It's sometimes sad to think that I've left it as long as I have, but I've not stopped doing it because I'm doing something I dislike, if that makes sense. Which vampire clans are lore-wise capable of forming alliances that can be genuinely trusted, or are vampires incapable of true alliances? Vampires are no less capable of true alliances than humans. So if you look at alliances between human nations, tell me any that have lasted longer than a few hundred years. Technocrat's Guide to the Traditions for the win, says the lucky bastard. Well, keep watching. Basic 204, have you ever listened to any of the ASMR Vampire the Masquerade videos, one such as Creator? I have not. Demon the Fallen 2nd edition. Nope, no update on that, I'm afraid, Annabelle. I keep losing my place. So, what else do we have? Have I played the World of Darkness mod for Crusader Kings 2? What did I think about it if I did? I have played it, actually. It's by a very nice guy I've worked with for a while. Have you ever played Street Fighter, the storytelling game? I have, actually, and I would love to see it come back. Swindo MMT says, did you skip my question? If I did, it wasn't intentional. Charles Dexter Ward, I'm sure the real one, says, if you had to form a WWE wrestling gimmick with Wood... Oh, no, I'm going to skip that one deliberately. That man doesn't get mentioned on this channel anymore. Mizo says, I know you like Planescape, but did you like Spelljammer? I have played Spelljammer, it just never really grabbed me. It's not a bad setting. General 2 says, I have a great video on the Warring States. Do I know where I could get my hands on a copy? How I run any games of Chin? Yes, I've run plenty. Do I know where you could get it? If Cubicle 7 aren't selling it anymore, no. I mean, you'd have to get it secondhand. I don't know if it's on Drive-Thru RPG. Ever heard about Unhallowed Metropolis? Unhallowed Metropolis. If so, what's my opinion? It's down there where you can't see. I'm a big fan of Unhallowed Metropolis. It's an incredibly rich setting, and 2nd edition is infinitely better to the first. What is it about Gloomhaven that's made it such a success? What has it done differently to other deluxe board games such as Kingdom Death? Says Mizo. I think Gloomhaven comes in its simplicity. Lots of pieces of card. Simply. Kingdom Death requires an awful lot of sticking together, painting to make it feel like a good game. And I've heard various criticisms of Kingdom Death. A lot of people love it. I've not played it, but the main criticism I've heard about it is it's all about the art assets and less about the game itself. Ali Aslan says, Johann Sebastian Bach is a Toreador. Do I have a favourite historic character like that I use in my games? What historic characters have I made into vampires in the course of my long and illustrious World of Darkness career? Richard Nixon. Thoughts on Cad Wallen RPG? Don't know that one. Bill Seagrave says, I want to thank you for all of the videos on W20 and the ideas it generated for the game that I will be running in June. Also, the character generation you did for Werewolf, for there will be a mage one coming up. Mark Crew says, it's great to see me back with a fresh video. Looking forward to seeing me at the expo. Running 2 games there myself. Lone Wolf, which is sold out, and Conspiracy X 2nd edition. Conspiracy X is a brilliant game. I sold my copy, but if you can still pick up a copy, I recommend it. And of course, if you're looking for a game of Conspiracy X and you want to play and you're going to the UK Games Expo, go along with Mark. Have I seen or heard of the indie vampire film Living Among Us? I highly recommend it. I haven't, Matthew, and I watch a lot of vampire movies. Factor's Manifesto is a brilliant Planescape book, yes. I've several of mine are signed by Tony, actually. Planescape, I wish Wizards of the Coast would resurrect the setting in 5th edition, says Rob Freebeard. Keep watching, you never know. Elvis says, always great to hear from you, Matthew. Do you write anything for Vampire the Requiem for the moment? Yes, I wrote for Half Damned, which I have down here. And I can't pry from my shelf because all the books are too... You'll have to take my word for it. I wrote in Half Damned, which is a book about ghouls, dampiers, and so on. And I also wrote for 1,000 Years of Night, which is a book about elders for Vampire the Requiem. And I have written for Guide to the Night, which is the a book that's coming up. I've recently submitted my work for that. So yeah, plenty of Requiem work. Any thoughts on a comparison between Cult, Unknown Armies, and World of Darkness? Adam Myers, E. Gutierrez. Well, comparison. Again, that's a big video. That's a big answer for this video, so I'll keep that in mind. I have looked at Lucha Underground. Thank you, Steve. And I like it. Lucha, Chikara, and I blame Eunice, who appears in a lot of my old live stream, role-playing games, for getting me into those. I should watch Defiant Wrestling. Their weekly shows are free on YouTube. I'll look them up. Thank you. I don't know who that is. Cyber D, Husky? No. Do I like Skyrim? There's a Let's Play of it on my The Gent in Question channel, which obviously hasn't been updated for several years. Am I into any of the Marvel Netflix shows? Some of them. So I liked Daredevil season... This isn't going to be a controversial opinion, I'm afraid. Daredevil season 1, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones... That's been it for now. That's really grabbed me. Very disappointed by Daredevil season 2. I haven't watched Punisher yet. Iron Fist just put me off, and therefore I didn't watch The Defenders. Man with Some Name tells me I got him into role-playing and introduced him to the World of Darkness. Thank you, Rodiamore. I cannot read the alphabet, so I'm sorry I can't help. Would I ever want to write for the Black Library? Does the 40k Warhammer world interest you at all? I would, because I'm a prostitute for writing, I'll add on to the end. I'll take any contract if someone's paying me. No, I love writing for settings with which I'm not terribly familiar, and 40k isn't one that I'm terribly familiar with, but I would write for them, because the best thing about this job for me is if I get a contract, or if I'm interested in getting a contract, it motivates me to read about a new world. So I've not been stuck in World of Darkness, and I almost feel like before I started writing, that's where my mind solely was. But then when I started to want to write for, let's see, I've written for Titan's Grave, for Fantasy Age, I've written for Chaosium, for Cubicle 7, for Cults, for Helmgast, for all kinds of companies, and it's just compelled me to read more widely. So yeah, I'd write for 40k. The Lady Gamer, am I related to Gentleman Jack Gallagher? Gentleman Jack Gallagher is actually from up north in the UK, so sadly not. Who would win in a fight, a gentleman or a gamer? A gentleman, definitely. Roth of the Paladin says, good evening, good to see me again. Good evening, good to see you. Jennifer, I've mentioned you, Jennifer Fuss. I pointed people over to your blog to check on your Kickstarter updates, so good evening to you. Brett Bren, what is my favorite non-RPG video game right now? Distrust. I think I've mentioned it already. In fact, I know I have. Distrust, available on Steam, or WWE 2K18. Karnok Zartox says, I had forgotten I was subscribed to this channel. If you're unhappy with being so, feel free to unclick. I'm not actually telling you to piss off, but you can if you want. ST Amity, Changing the Dream or Changing the Lost, slightly off topic. Both are brilliant games in their own right. They both have their merits. I guess the one I'd keep going back to more, and this might be controversial, is Changing the Dreaming. I think it offers me more as in terms of replayability. Changing the Lost is something I can't continuously do because it's quite a what's the word? It's a very deep, hollowing out game. It leaves you feeling empty afterwards, but in a good way, maybe. In Hunter, do you think the characters who were born into the Vigil work as well as those who discover the Vigil? Yeah. I mean, Loyalists of Thule are pretty much born into it, whether they like it or not. Oh, thank you for all of you saying you've missed me. That's very nice. So now there's people in the chat arguing whether the Tremere are a real clan or not. So that's nice. I'll avoid all of that because I'm not going to read through your arguments about the Tremere. Would an RPG set in the Transformers universe work? I am familiar with the franchise, Brett, but I prefer the comics and the cartoon, I guess, and the action figures more than the movies because they're utter shit. So as long as Michael Bay had nothing to do with it, yes, of course, it would work. I'm curious now how the Cappadocians survived because in Transylvania Chronicles, that's where they were described to have almost been wiped out. Yep, Funny that. It's very difficult to wipe out an entire clan. But if, you know, the first signs of Cappadocian surviving after Transylvania Chronicles 3, which is one book that says that, is in Giovanni Chronicles 4, Cairo by Night, Clan Book Cappadocian. It's interesting. One source said they're being wiped out. A whole flurry of others said they're not. And a lot of people just clung to that one source. So it's interesting the way our minds work. How would I put a true Cappadocian in modern knights? I would, asks Almighty Q, make them useful to whatever sect is protecting them, because the Giovanni is still going to hunt them down. Fine, John CM. Portugal and England are the oldest alliance in existence. Have I tried the Megacorp TCG? I have not. Jennifer, oh yeah, I know you're a big fan of the Giovanni, and you'd love to see them continued in V5 as a clan. Don't worry, the Giovanni will, in some form or other, still be around. I have no doubt. Terradole says, I'm writing my first Malkavian player character, and I know it's a thin line between being horrifying and silly. Do I have any advice? Yes, think of mental illness. Do you think mental illness is silly? No? There you go. I know that makes it sound very obvious. But Malkavians are fundamentally all supposed to be mentally ill. And I say mentally ill, not just mad or crazy, because those can be interpreted to mean kooky and fun. And while Malkavians, like anyone, can be prone to humor, especially dark humor, I think Malkavians are very good for being composed of black humor. The fact is they all suffer some kind of derangement. So think about the derangement. Think about being you, and think about how you would be if you were afflicted by a crippling mental illness and now you had to drink blood and nothing but blood. And you couldn't go out in the day, and you weren't able to be in contact with the people you love because you might prey on them, you might lose the beast might take control, you might tear them apart. All of a sudden, you're a Malkavian. Am I involved in Dystopia Rising Evolution at all? It's being published by Onyx Path Publishing, and I work for them. Wrath of the Paladin, we simply improved. Well, they're still arguing about the Tremere in this chat log. Alistair asks, what clan will Christopher Walken be? A slightly crazy Taurid or just an outright Malkavian? Christopher Walken would probably be a Nosferatu, and not because he is hideously ugly. He's not hideously ugly, but he is disturbing. He's a Requiem Nosferatu. And if I see some of you have got to tune out for the night because you're in Europe and it's late here, but you know, you can carry on watching tomorrow. Will I be around at the night in question LARP? I will not. I don't think I'll be in Austin, Texas. I believe that's the Sabat LARP that's in Austin. Sadly, I don't think I'll be able to make it. Favorite vampire movie and vampire villain. Favorite vampire movie, What We Do in the Shadows. Favorite vampire villain. Ooh, well, you know, it sounds a bit obvious, but it's really got to be Dracula. Oh, and then Zerarion says, check out What We Do in the Shadows. If you check out my work in Vampire the Requiem, you'll see a reference to that movie. Almakov says, will we be seeing more projects that pair your writing closely with Malcolm Shepard's? Fall of Azarion was the chapter that most motivated my ordering a print-on-demand of Dark Era's Companion. Very useful. I love working with Malcolm. Malcolm is one of my favorite co-writers. Here's to you, Malcolm. You won't watch this video, I am sure, but I love working with him. He's professional, gets his words in on time. They're always brilliant. And I have just stopped work. Well, I've just been working for him on Modern Age. So yeah, we'll keep working together. He now has I don't know whether it's full-time, but he's contracted to Green Ronin Publishing, and I'm contracted to Onyx Path. That doesn't mean we won't work together, but it does mean both of our lives, our work lives, are almost entirely focused on one company or other. I can still do freelance writing, just as he can, but it depends how busy we are. But thank you for mentioning Malcolm, because he is a brilliant writer who doesn't get enough credit. Pro wrestling is indeed LARP. Have I managed to watch the World of Darkness documentary? If so, any thoughts on it? I have watched it. It's okay. So the fact that I've stuttered and stumbled over it gives a little bit of an impression. I didn't dislike the World of Darkness documentary. I suppose this is me and this is my pride, and I'll speak to you honestly. I don't like the fact that Onyx Path aren't mentioned in it at all, because to me they kind of kept Vampire going. Now, I know why they're not. I absolutely know why they're not, because the documentary is a narrative, and it makes a lot more sense for a narrative to have Vampire rising like a phoenix from the flames under the new White Wolf stewardship. And I think in that respect, it tells a fantastic story. Just keep in mind, if you watch it, just keep in mind the Onyx Path involvement, because I don't think we deserve to be omitted. Wrestle Talk TV. Would I object to a series of videos similar to your guide to other Chronicles of Darkness games? No, of course not, Tom Sawyer. If you want to make some, you go right ahead. Jessica Jones Series 2 is coming in March, and I will watch it. CFE Anubis says, long time no see. Rotha the Paladin. Punisher has been really good. I will no doubt watch The Punisher. Mizo says I should contact them. You're going to have to tell me who, because I've probably missed your comment. Shamino Warren says, just popping in before my modern philosophy classes. Says, it's a pleasure to see the gentleman. I haven't seen him since his post-caffeinated Conquests review of Vampire 5th Edition. I've been around. 86 King Rat, if you could change something major about Vampire the Masquerade, what would you change? Be it clan, important piece of lore, etc. Read Vampire 5th Edition when it comes out, and you'll find out some of the things I'll change. How long have I been writing for RPGs now, asks Simon York. I think I started in December or November of 2013. But full-time, I've only been doing it since late last year. Which part of the UK, from which part of the UK do I hail? Asks Truemate. I'm from the south, as you can probably tell from my lack of accent. I am in the Cathedral City. Stuart Kane, what do I think of Invisible Sun from Monty Cook Games? I think Invisible Sun's fantastic. And I know I keep using the term controversial opinion. So I'm actually getting bombarded with questions right now, I'll just say. So if this wasn't the video you were expecting, it certainly wasn't what I was expecting, but I'm enjoying it. If this isn't your thing, feel free to tune out. The next video up will be a Maze of the Ascension character creation video. What do I think of Invisible Sun from Monty Cook Games? Now, this is a game that drew its fair share of controversy because it was billed as a deluxe role-playing experience, or at least that's what it came across as. It was a game that came in a box with all kinds of props. And people said, how dare you charge that much for an RPG? These games are supposed to be accessible. People should play the damn things, and there shouldn't be a barrier to entry based on the size of someone's wallet, etc., etc. To which I say, bollocks. There will always be things that cost more than a lot of people can afford, and it may not be nice, but that's why most of us don't go around driving sports cars. Does that mean Invisible Sun is better than every other RPG? No, but it does mean that if you can afford it and you want to play it, then brilliant. To put it another way, there are... I believe the comparison was made. I think if you wanted to buy Invisible Sun, and this is a guess, it was going to cost something like £70 or £80 just for one box full of stuff. However, that was the complete game. If you wanted to buy the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual for Dungeons & Dragons, you'd be paying around £80. So for me, there wasn't much difference. It was just this idea that put a lot of people off, that it cost a lot as one upfront payment. And I think that's a lot of hogwash, to be honest, to use a word I don't think I've ever used. Oh, Caffeinated Conquest is here. Hi there. And thank you very much for tuning in. Which clan or faction is to blame for Brexit? That's the Mortal faction. Storyteller Amity. Unfortunately, I don't think any vampires were to blame for that. Well, I guess vampires in terms of the human soul. There is a video where I discuss my view on Brexit. I won't make things too political here. I can flip either way, and arguments to be said on either side. I just hope that whenever it's resolved, if it's ever resolved, it works out for the best. And If I had to be selfish, if I'm being perfectly mercenary, most of my income now comes from non-UK sources. So as long as the pound stays low and our economy tanks, I'm laughing because I'm being paid in kroner and dollars. What else? Elvis Jansen, will I do a series of character creation videos on the Chronicles of Darkness? I don't see why not. More Tremere arguments. What creature would Trump be in the world of darkness? A dead one, I think. No, that's not true. He's obviously alive. What creature would Trump be? I think he would have one of those parasite things from what we were talking about from World of Darkness Immortals controlling him, but it's in the shape of his hair. Although we all have to admit Trump is actually mortal. And there's going to be some people watching this who are Trump supporters after everything that's happened recently. I don't know why you would be, other than to say, well, at least I'm not a Democrat. But yeah, politics. I'm not judging you, except maybe I am. How would I recommend getting started in Vampire? Buy the core rulebook, read it, enjoy it, and if you find you did enjoy it, then buy Beckett's Jihad Diary, and you'll have a world of options available to you. Thoughts on the technocracy within Mage, that is to say your personal opinions on the faction. I think there are arguments for the technocracy's existence. There's absolutely arguments for why they exist, because you could argue that what the traditions want, awakening everyone, ideally, I guess that's the ultimate form of ascension to some, is even more dangerous than what the technocracy wants to do, which is to keep humanity safe and silent by mandating their own consensus across humanity. You know, it's ultimately the big struggle between enlightenment versus blissful ignorance. I've had many a back and forth with friends on whether Kindred is stagnant by nature or not. I'm pretty sure you worked on 1,000 Years of Night, and I wanted your opinion, Jen. No, they're not, General Sue. I did work on 1,000 Years of Night, and there's no reason for them to be stagnant. There should be some anachronisms that are, and I mentioned these in 1,000 Years of Night. The vampire that remains in his country manor being doted on by ghouls, and the vampire never leaves the manor, but because he's so powerful and wise, other vampires occasionally come to him, so he stagnates. But the majority don't have to. As long as they keep some kind of contact with mortality, why would they? So no, I don't think so. But torpor is obviously a big prohibition there. Yep, Caffeinated Conquest has turned up, and Trump is apparently a god machine shill, says Basic 204. Yeah, lots of people I know. Good God. You know what? The fact that all of you people that I know are commenting here is in one way distressing, because it means I know everyone in the Vampire the Masquerade community now. But it's also fantastic because I know everyone in the Vampire the Masquerade community now. Oh, wonderful. Clan Book Blood Brothers is currently in the top 12 of the Storyteller's Vault books. Well, it should be. You can have it for free. Greetings to Brazil, Carlos Monteiro. And I hope you enjoy the Drowned Legacies in Beckett's Jihad Diary, because they are your South American vampires. What else do we have here? For your point of view, in other countries like Brazil, what scenarios of Chronicles of Darkness fit in better? Talk about culture and geography. Don't worry about stereotypes. Again, that's a massive question. I guess if I wanted to play a game in Chronicles of Darkness, put it in a non-English speaking country where the culture is different, I would probably go for something where the genesis of your characters is the same no matter what you are, just because it would be easier for me. And this is me without doing any research. So if I want to set a game in Brazil, I'd probably go for something like Mummy, because all mummies are from Irem, and that means they all have the communal genesis point. And what's more, they all wake up knowing absolutely nothing about their past, which makes it running it incredibly easy. For me, I'm a big fan of Mummy, The Curse. So yeah, I would go for Mummy. And then you can build the culture up around the game. Someone says, do I have a Patreon account? It'd be interesting to offer a character creation session where I help the person do a character. I would love to, but as I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to just launch a Patreon account with one video in 2018. If I do a Patreon account, I want to know that I will continue making videos, because I don't want to mislead people, say, hey, I'm launching a Patreon. If you give me money, I'll do videos, and then I never have time to do it. I'll just piss people off, and myself. So I'd rather pick up the motivation, and if that works, if I do, then maybe I'll do a Patreon account. You know, it's always wonderful to have a bit of financial support for spending time doing this sort of stuff, even though some people hate it. That's an interesting change in opinion, in fact, because a few years ago you would have been absolutely crucified for asking for money for YouTube videos, and now, of course, everyone does it. I never had a problem with it, and that's why I always monetize my videos. How would I run a comedic game in World of Darkness, asks Fernando Ruth. Why? I'd have everyone play a Malkavian. I probably wouldn't, but that's because I'm a bit of a purist. I understand that the true power of vampiric society, but do you think it would fall at some point due to technological advancement? The good thing about parasites like vampires is they adapt. They always survive. In some way or other, they'll just hide further and further into the shadows. Josh Heath, Master Dawkins, can you tell us more about things from beneath the sea? I can tell you more about They Came From Beneath the Sea. What else can I tell you about They Came From Beneath the Sea? So there's 5 archetypes. There's 5 different character splats you can play in the core game. There are survivors. Those are your strong-jawed heroes just back from the Second World War, looking to carve out a patch of land only to be harassed from things from beneath the sea. There are blue-collar everymen. Everymen are your hometown heroes who just want to defend their patch of land, their picket fences. They're your mechanics, your Joes, your working classes. There are your scientists, or mad scientists if you prefer. They're perhaps the only people that really know what's going on, but who can trust them? After all, they're mad and they're scientists. There are mouths. Mouths are your plucky reporters, your actors, your theatrical types. They are your speakers for the group. They are the plucky journalist who happens to be on the scene when the alien emerges from the depths. And finally, you have your G-men. G-men are your sheriffs, your government officials, your men in black who say there's nothing to see here and move on. Those are the 5 characters that you play. Each have associated quips, associated powers, and I think you will be very pleased. Basic 204, how do I get players to see past the God Machine being mechanical and being something more? They always get hung up on the fact that it says machine, not realizing everything is a system. Whew, another big question. I would just call it God. Or if that didn't cause too much controversy, because the God Machine appears in many different ways, and calling it the God Machine is just taking it as at its most obvious. Think of it like this. If our world is the Matrix, the God Machine is the framework of the Matrix. So it is everything around us. It's everything. It's brick and mortar as well as its technology. If I could implement one mechanic from Requiem into Masquerade, what would it be? Touchstones, Zach. Phantom Apprentice, I think they're still talking about... I do hope they're not just talking about Tremere still. Oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm losing which questions I'm on now. I'm going to have to keep going down. Which deadly sin is my favorite? May I go out on a whim to suggest pride? How dare you? It's obviously wrath. Fuck you. I don't mean it, Caravalos. My deadliest sin, the one I enjoy the most. What do I like the most? What is my downfall? Which sin is my downfall? It might be pride, you know, because I can work myself to death, and I think I probably will. I do find that well, for the last few years, I've been working every day, pretty much every evening and every weekend. And I've been doing that. Even when I've been abroad, I've still been working. And I imagine that will probably get me killed at some point. How the Canadians learn to speak. I'm glad someone watched that video, M. Casey. Yes, how the Canadians learn to speak. Look that one up. It's one of my videos. DL Adams, speaking of technocracy, do I have any news on the M20 supplement Technocracy Reloaded? That was promised quite a while back. We're getting to it, I promise you, and I am involved. Vatroslav Morbidovic, Question about werewolves: how long do they live? Longer than humans, just longer than humans. Do I want to be a werewolf or a vampire? Neither. Both lifestyles are pretty awful. Bury On, gotta say that Clan Blood Brothers was an interesting brief read. It was leagues better than the massive edge fest that Rights the Blood turned them into. Well, you know, different authors have different things to say. My clan book was a brief read because it's free. It's just an example. Although, you can pay for it if you want to send me money. Ginevra Capone says, hey, what is your favorite Vampire the Masquerade manual? Clan book, story, city, etc. My favorite Vampire the Masquerade manual, off the top of my head, and let's try and avoid nostalgia. Am I going to be egotistical? I am. I'm going to say Beckett's Jihad Diary. In your opinion, do you think vampires have sex drive since they can no longer create like mortals are able to? Yes, because even people who are sterile still have sex drives. Now, that's in my game. Some people don't like vampires having sex at all, but I see vampires conflating sexual desire with a desire for blood. I think it all ties into each other. Now, to get purely biological about it, does that mean a vampire would achieve an erection without essentially manually forcing his little blue pill of vitae into the appropriate area? Probably not. That doesn't mean he's incapable. Me and my friends keep arguing that the Balkans should be the holy land of the Sabbat, not Mexico. With the proximity of the Zmitzi, homeland, crime and criminal organizations, it makes sense. Maybe you're right, 86 King Rat, read V5. How am I and my son? Asked Gara Jeffrey. We're both very well, thank you. What do I think of We Eat Blood and All Our Friends Are Dead? I haven't played them overly. Baby Taco, whoa, he's back. Yes, I am. Morozok175 says, hello from Russia. I'm recently launched series of streams on Old World of Darkness. What books can you advise me on World of Darkness? You awesome. So I'm not going to say Beckett's Jihad Diary this time. I will say Lore of the Clans and Lore of the Bloodlines will give you more depth with your vampires than you've ever had before. Possibly. Has the YouTube adpocalypse or recent changes affected you at all? Asked Caravolos. Not really, because I've not been here. Fernando Ruth says, thanks for your answer on a comedic game of World of Darkness. Greetings from Chile. Hello to Chile. Check out Beckett's Jihad Diary. We have Chilean vampires. Chilean, I should say. There's lots of other questions. What about Patreon focus on your writing rather than have it focus on videos? You could create short stories each month, enable you to work on given projects that are offset by the Patreon. That would be lovely, Jay. That would be. I'll still time it. I still want to, there's a marketing reason for this, but I want my audience, I guess, to get reacquainted with me. So, I'm not just putting a Patreon out there and hoping people stumble upon it. But that's not a bad idea, doing writing for pay. It's a good idea. Crackdag wants to know what I'm talking about. Everything. General 2, if I had to get a World of Darkness tattoo, what would you get? I wouldn't. If I had to get a World of Darkness tattoo, the Cappadocian Dark Ages crest. Of course, pride is his favourite sin. Just look at all the Harold Zettler's appearances in the various books. I didn't put Harold Zettler in all of those books, I'll have you know, Bury On. And I didn't invent the character either. So, yeah, it would be pride if I was putting some of my own creative characters in all the books, but I have not. So I'll defend myself there. He was in World of Darkness long before I came along. John CM says, you probably guessed I mostly play Hunt of the Vigil. What other World of Darkness property would give me the biggest change of pace? So if you're talking World of Darkness, a big change of pace from Hunt of the Vigil will be Mage the Ascension. If you're talking Chronicles of Darkness, the bigger change of pace from Hunt of the Vigil would probably be Werewolf the Forsaken. ST Amity says, took my advice, read the Slasher source book, has to be one of the best in the whole settings. Also love Beckett's Jihad Diary. That's Wonderful. I'm glad you took my advice from way back when. And if you love Beckett's Jihad Diary, if you've not, please rate it and review it on drivethrurpg.com. You don't need to leave a review longer than one line. And even if you hate it, please rate it and review it. That it makes no difference to me. One person who liked this video has decided to thumb it down with a dislike. I don't know what you... there we go. The lights have gone back up now. Thank you. You know. This is great being back on YouTube. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you very much. You're a lovely audience. The next song is I Left My Heart in San Francisco. Carlos Monteiro here in Brazil. And yes, that's it. All of you now stick your thumb up me. Here in Brazil, we have La Sombra and Zimitzi on the government. La Sombra with the Bible Party and Zimitzi with the big farms and slave-like policies. They will get what's coming to them, don't worry. Nicholas wasn't expecting any activity, and he's glad he was wrong. I'm glad you were wrong, too. Mark Dane says, I'm writing... Oh, and now here we go. Missing the comments again. I'm writing a VTM novel and want to stay true to canon. Yet would you agree that the story is something more important than slavishly following the rules? Always, Mark. R.A. Salvatore, who I'll use as an example, or R.A. Salvatore, I don't actually know, is, of course, as I've mentioned, Drizzt Do'Urden, the Forgotten Realms author de jure. He always has been. And his novels, his Icewind Dale novels, all of the Drizzt novels, his Drow novels, have never really clung fiercely to how to play Dungeons and Dragons. And yet they've always been very successful and very readable. So don't feel the need to look up every discipline and make sure you're adhering to it. Most people will read a story just because it's fun. Chris B joins the video and I talk of erections. It happens often. Have I heard about the Game of Fangs LARP played in Lviv, Ukraine recently with Mark Reinhagen? I did. I am working for White Wolf now. How about a Resident Evil theme game for Chronicles of Darkness? Do you think it would work? I do, and in fact, I've ran one. All the V20 books are damned good. Thank you, GM Steelhaven. Baby Taco, going to buy Jihad Diary now. You do that. Buy it in print. If you find me, I'll sign it. I don't like defacing books, but a lot of people ask me to. Who would win in a fight? All the third-generation antediluvians versus Cthulhu. Cthulhu, because Cthulhu can consume the world, and the antediluvians don't really want the world to end because they need the blood. Have I listened to 25 years of Vampire the Masquerade? I have. Yes, it's very good. It's a podcast. It's very, very entertaining. Do I ever miss Vampire the Masquerade YouTube experiment? Ask Robert H. I think I know you are, Robert H. Yes, plenty. I loved role-playing to that degree, with that intensity, but time and tide take me away. Why is vampirism so fascinating? I like them better as adversaries, not player characters, says Crack Dag. The reason they're so fascinating... well, okay, so just before... You know, all these people gave me these thumbs up, so that is shot up. And obviously I'm grateful for that. But then some of you just go and give me thumbs down. And I think in no other video have I mentioned thumbs up and thumbs down. And this is interesting. I might just ask you all to just give thumbs down now. And just watch them go down just so they can go. I'm not going to ask you to. Don't do it. No, stop doing that. Back up. Back up. Thank you. That's right. Okay. I'm watching. Why is vampirism so fascinating? Because people love role-playing and love telling stories about... No, I said no. Don't. No, you go up. Not, oh, for fuck's sake. Well, this is embarrassing now, isn't it? See, this is how you... this is being a professional wrestler or wrestling superstar. It's interacting with the crowd and getting them to play to your tune. You are now dancing to my fiddle. I've played you like a damn fiddle, as a great man once said. Why is vampirism so fascinating? It is because people like playing with immortality, they like playing with superpowers, they like playing with tragedy. People love to put themselves in positions where they will never be, and being an undead creature of the night has an exoticism to it. And of course, power fantasy. But I don't think it's just power fantasy. It's the same reason you watch horror films. It's the adrenaline rush, I think. What else do we have? Yep, thank you for all the ironic dislike button presses. Is there going to be a new game, a new video game? Oh, undoubtedly. Will V5 end the Chronicles of Darkness? I don't think so. I've not been told that it's going to, Robert Wagner. The Gent is back, asked Real Winters. Caffeinated Conquest asks a very good question. Do you know what's going to become of Onyx Path's legacy licenses once White Wolf starts releasing the 5th editions? Will they become defunct after the current projects reach completion? Well, so you mean the 20th anniversaries. So this is hypothesis on my part, and I speak with no authority here despite being an employee of Onyx Path and a freelancer for White Wolf, so take it as opinion, I guess. I can't see White Wolf suddenly stopping Onyx Path from doing 20th anniversary Wraith if they're releasing 5th edition Vampire. There's a certain logic to White Wolf saying, okay, I don't want you doing any more 20th anniversary books because we've now got the 5th edition of that game out. That makes sense. But Onyx Path are unlikely to suffer as a result of that, because for V5 books to keep coming out, White Wolf are going to want people to publish them and write them. And this is a guess, but due to the good relationship between Onyx Path and White Wolf, it would surprise me. It's not impossible, but it would surprise me if White Wolf didn't approach Onyx Path to release V5 books in the future. So it's a bit of a woolly answer. So in terms of legacy products, 20th anniversary lines, I imagine you will, given that some of them have been going now for over 5 years, which is about as long as 3.5 went before 4th edition D&D. I don't think it's far-fetched to imagine that as V20 is effectively 4th edition Vampire, it will stop because 5th edition will come out. But because of the Storyteller's Vault, we can keep seeing products coming out for the 20th anniversary edition, so it's not a bad thing. Caravolos says, you say it's more important to make a story rather than follow the rules, but do you agree that you need to justify breaking rules lest it breaks immersion? Yeah, definitely. I'm not 100% immersion guy. I mean, I like it in some LARPs, but even then I like to come up for breathing space. It's just not how I enjoy myself. So breaking rules does make sense to keep immersion in place if it's really important for you. But at the same time, you need rules in a game, otherwise it just becomes a narrative story, which is good, and it has its own place. Do I listen to heavy metal? If so, what is your favorite band? That's interesting because that question came up recently. I discussed it with one of the people watching this video, heavy metal. And my tastes, I will listen to heavy metal, have it on in the background, but I never actively seek it out. Spotify is a wonderful thing. Sometimes I find excellent bands that I've never heard of before, and they're often heavy metal ones, but I don't then save them. I just wait for them to roll around again. Welcome to Ukraine. Nikolai, if you ever want me to come to Ukraine and there's a convention on, get in touch and we'll see what can happen. Usually, though, I don't travel unless I'm invited. I'm like a vampire. I won't come in through the front door unless you ask me in. Do I think the Technocracy would have diplomatic relations with the Camarilla? I don't think the Technocracy would recognize the Camarilla as an entity. I think that's an important thing. And this is just my opinion, of course, because in some games, Technocracy recognizes parts of Pentex, or parts of Pentex recognize parts of the Technocracy. But the Technocracy isn't one big organization where everyone comes to a board meeting and talks about what they've done to rule the world today. Just the same as the Camarilla, while it has an inner circle, isn't a formal political party. So the Technocracy have probably heard of the Camarilla, but being able to identify whether a vampire is Camarilla, Anarch, or Sabbat, given that you have lunatics in all three and you have powermongers in all three, is another matter altogether. If a power is used in a manner that seems overpowered, would it make sense to nerf the power if it disrupts everyone's fun? Yes, absolutely. It's your game. What's the difference between the premium heavyweight and standard heavyweight of a book? Premium is usually the quality of the ink and the paper and the cover. I always go for premium with my orders. It's not often that much more, and all my books have stayed together. They've not come loose from the binding, which is important. Why are there 4 thumbs down on this video, Phantom Apprentice? I don't know. There could be more if I asked for them. I'm not asking for them. But I don't think there will be fewer than 4. There must always be at least 4 people that dislike me. There's a rule. It was written into the tablets that were found on the mountain next to my body when I was born. By a no, that's a 5th thumb down now. You're taking the piss. That's a 6th thumb down. Don't make me come over there. Right. I'm watching for those 6. No, okay, now that's gone up to 7. Now the joke is over. This has gone far too far. 11 thumbs down. What did I do? What did I do to deserve this? You know, I don't have to be doing this video right now. And you know how sensitive I am to thumbs. I think I've discussed it in at least 100 videos on this channel. I have a fear of thumbs. I imagine them marching towards me in the night. And I mean, this is how my left thumb, I can bend it all the way back to the other part of my hand and all that, because I was just so afraid of thumbs that I just wanted to snap it off. And in the end, I just did it with my other digits. And that's why my fingers can just kind of stretch out on my hand like that. It's my fear of thumbs, and you're exacerbating it now. Stop it. Okay, so we'll carry on. Favorite tradition? Why is it the Order of Hermes? My favorite tradition is the Cult of Ecstasy. Is Vampire the Requiem better than Vampire the Masquerade? Asks Eon1. They are 2 sides of the same coin, and neither is better than the other. They offer different things. Are you catching the end of this, Mr. Agogo? Yes, probably, but I hope, providing I've already said I'm going to do a Mage the Ascension character creation video now, so I can't not, can I? Is Bitcoin part of Pentex more likely to be part of the Syndicate? This man is a genius. I don't think I am, Gabriel. Mr. Gabriel. And thank you for pronouncing my name correctly. You're already a few steps ahead of every boss or professor I've ever had. Ha ha, says D.A.L. Adams. I've always been fairly good at pronouncing names. Amber Oni, have you been consulted for any upcoming White Wolf projects? I am working as... Go all the way back to the beginning of this video, and I will tell you that I am one of the writers on Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, and I was working for Paradox Interactive on a video game that has sadly been cancelled, but I've not given any information about because it's under NDA. So there. How well do you think you could cosplay Patrick Stewart? Not very well at all. Engage. Played a Warhammer. See, that's why I can't do it. Played a Warhammer campaign once. 5 players started as beggars. All-time best RPG. Lasted 4 years. Thank you for that. What advice would you give a guy who wants to play RPGs but can't find a group in his area? Look online. If you're in the UK, go on the UK Role Players Forum. If you're international, go on the Onyx Path or RPGNet Forum. How well do you think you could cosplay Kristen Stewart? Much better than Patrick Stewart, although I can't quote her because I don't think I've seen her in anything. I've never watched Twilight. Happy to see you again too, Kaverka Gambo. Josh Heath, thank you for all the feedback regarding Onyx Path and White Wolf. If anyone is interested in characters for Beckett's Jihad Diary characters, there is one product on the Storyteller's Vault for that and more coming. Josh Heath has been releasing some fantastic Storyteller's Vault's products that tie into Beckett's Jihad Diary. If you like Beckett's Jihad Diary, please look his work up. There's a plug for you, Josh. Thank you. What are your music preferences for a Vampire the Masquerade session? Usually some sort of slow trance, techno music, that kind of thing. I find playlists on Spotify. I don't usually seek out a specific band, and nothing where the lyrics are too invasive. This is a nice surprise, Archlish. Telemachus, was Onyx Path aware of you and your channel before you began working for them? If so, did that have anything to do with you getting hired to work for them? They were aware because I interviewed a bunch of them. That wasn't why I got hired. Bear in mind, I was freelancing for them as a writer for several years before we got into talks about me working for them full-time as an in-house developer and troubleshooter. You want me to leave the title of the books mentioned? Good God, there's been a lot of them, Dolce Skies. I'm relying on a lot of you people in the comments to say, what books we've been talking about. Beckett's Jihad Diary. What do you think of the rule of thumb? I don't think the rule of thumb is very good, James. I think the rule of thumb is arbitrary. This is an anarchy, and this is a good reason. This is a good showing for why anarchy does not work on YouTube. Because at any given time, people can just change their minds and they can say, I'm going to give him a thumb down. And when they do that, I have what they call a conniption fit. As you've seen, it's very difficult to restrain myself. As soon as I start seeing the thumbs going down, I start seeing my death looming before. Oh my God, it's happening again. I can't cope with it. It's too much. It's too much. No, stop. Stop waving your thumbs at me. Who's your thumb, boy? That's right. You can put them back up now. Always two thumbs. It's a master and apprentice. Tell us something you were able to tell us about the 6th edition of Vampire the Masquerade. There are only 3 clans in 6th edition Masquerade. One of them is the Noyad, a bloodline of Clan Gangrel. Do I think the Thalane from Changing the Dreaming is playable? I do not. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a non-playable... I'm still watching those thumbs down. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a non-playable faction in a role-playing game, because sometimes some things are antagonists. Before you started freelance writing, what did you do for a living, gent? I was a trainer, but as you can probably tell from my body shape, not a personal physical trainer. Amber Oni says, Cult of Ecstasy, Slanesh be praised. So it turns out that my sin is lust. Don't worry, gentlemen gamer, you are loved even by those thumbers downers people. I know, you're all just having fun. You're having fun at my expense. Well, good job I'm not paying for this, I guess. Just the internet connection. What's my opinion on the synthwave boom? Asks Amber Oni. I really don't have one. Vamps are scary, smelly baddies, not shiny heroes, says Crackdag. Well, I guess you're right there. Thorstein Memeson, that feeling when he ignores 2 of my comments. Oh, I feel like I've done something horrible now. I've missed you twice, Thorstein. I promise, as I keep scrolling down, as you've got your Age of Druids or whatever it is, point and click RPG adventure, that I remember that man's face that you have as your avatar, and I'm seeing the attention I'm giving you now, but just because you moaned, because when I used to work in a video game store, I remember looking at that game and thinking, "Oh, that's a nice cover. I wonder if it's like Broken Sword," and I played it, and it wasn't a brilliant game. Secret of the Druids, maybe. Maybe it's my turn for the Combo and Elder Discipline books. Yes, I recommend them on Storyteller's Vault as well. What are my thoughts on 1922's Nosferatu movie? I enjoyed it. I've seen it probably 3 times. I mean, we can look back on these things with appreciation for what they were and say, well, this is seminal. Let's set off a wave of, all right, get rid of the thumbs down now. It's not a joke anymore. But if you compare it to a lot of cinema that exists today, there's so much that's better. And this is one of those things that's dangerous when you cling on to nostalgia in favor of modernity simply for the sake of it. And so Nosferatu, being one of the oldest vampire movies, is held up on this pedestal for being a fantastic vampire movie. And in a sense it is, but in a sense also there's so much that's so much better than it now. So I don't know, it obviously has its place. Welcome to the I Am Zombie RPG, and can it be included into World of Darkness? Asks Kaverka Gambo. I Am Zombie is by Mark Reinhagen. It is not related to the World of Darkness. It's, as far as I know, still in print, but it's nothing to do with me. Josh Heath, yes. So I'm going to keep reading comments, but the analytics of the stream are going to be crazy. Yes, they are, because I'm going to have said things that people have got pissed off by, and then that's pleased them. These 7 dislikes aren't pleasing me, I'll tell you that. And thank you, Barry Allen, for getting the Noyad reference that I made. Is there a book with rules for mad science? So there will be, and they came from beneath the sea. Will there be any more storybooks after Beckett's Jihad Diary, and will there be more books of the likes of the Year of the Scarab books, says Gara Jeffrey. I don't think there will be any more Beckett's Jihad Diary style books for Vampire the Masquerade. But you never know for the other lines, like Werewolf the Apocalypse, Made to the Ascension. Ike of Pike, I arrive. Hope you're well, gent. I am, thank you. We've been going for 2 hours, 20 minutes now. Good God. If I could put a recipe in the next cookbook, what would you put in there? I'd put, what would I put in a cookbook? I'd do some kind of omelette, I think. Nice and simple, because everyone can make an omelette, but I would obviously choose some very interesting ingredients to put in. Like, I'd probably, it wouldn't be that interesting, you know. I'd put in some spice, maybe some paprika, maybe some bacon, maybe some mushrooms, maybe some tomatoes. I would do a full English omelette. Why not? And we would call it a... what would we call it? What's something that's quintessentially British in the world of darkness? I'll let you. A Mithraic omelette. Any supernatural creatures out there you'd like to see join the games? There are plenty, many creatures that I'd love to see in the World of Darkness and Chronicles of Darkness games. And give them enough time, and they will be. Did I play the Witcher games? I have played the Witcher games, Mad Brainbox. Thorstein Memeson, what was Vampire the Masquerade YouTube experiment? See, look, I've answered your question. I will now. Vampire the Masquerade YouTube experiment is still going. You can look it up, VTMYTE on Facebook. It is a online live-action role-playing game of Vampire the Masquerade that I established way back when. You can see its earliest videos on my channel, where it had over 100 people playing in it, all vampires in a city. We interacted via conference calls like this, uploaded the videos. You could follow the story along. It's still going today. It's been going for years now. You can still sign up. Which music genre is most likely to carry subliminal messages of the worm? Good question. Freestyle jazz. Your old videos on it seemed cool. Could you explain? Quite simply, Thorstein, it is it's a Vampire the Masquerade LARP that you play on webcam because you can't get to other LARPs. Real Winters, just remember the Vampire the Masquerade card game I backed a year ago. Hope all is going well with that. Have you had any input with it? I have. I did some editing, a little bit of work on the independent clans on Prince's Gambit, and I believe it's currently being printed in China. Is the Toreador clan still your favorite? Right now, no. My favorite clan currently is the Ravnos. Most important question, when is the next edition of Hole coming out? Human Occupied Landfill. I've heard nothing of Hole being re-released. Always happy when you chatter away, says Crackdag. Well, I'm certainly doing that. I like Bram Stoker's Dracula, but the book had some unfortunate implications, like, the ugly evil foreigner is here to steal your woman and upset the social order. It was of its time. It was. And we have to review literature and cinema in that way. We need a comprehensive guide to how clans view vampire films, all of them. It's important to me, says Amber Oni. I imagine some with hilarity. Some would see it as a fantastic Masquerade cover. Matthew Jihad Omelette. What's the most important question I've asked? What is your favorite alcohol to drink? Something specific so I could nab some, if you please. Oh, well, I don't really drink much. I probably drank more in the past than I do now. What do I drink? I'm looking around my room because this is my study that we are in right now. And this is also where I have all my alcohol tempting me. I've never been writing and just been tempted to grab a spirit and down it because writing's never got that bad. I generally go for whiskey. But, whiskey is, much like most hard spirits, can do a hell of a job on you. So, I don't really get drunk from spirits as easily as I do from beer, which I know sounds a bit contrary, but it's because I keep, my spirits topped up with either ice or soda or lemonade or Coke. I'll generally drink whiskey neat, however, and I don't tend to get hangovers from whiskey. I go more these days for a peaty whiskey, like a pretentious old gentleman gamer, than for liqueurs like Southern Comfort. Or liquors, I should say. What culinary dishes would represent each of one of the world's... Oh, God, I'm not going through that. I'm sorry. I'm not going through lots of culinary dishes. Haven't played in the Major Ascension game yet. How do you feel it plays out? Really worth the experience, or does the mechanics get too confusing? Well, I'm running it right now, and it seems to be going very well indeed. I don't think the mechanics getting in the way. The players are really enjoying the free-form nature of the magic, the way you just combine your spheres and come up with stuff that's interesting. Natalie Manzarenko wants to know why Toreador aren't my favorite anymore. Well, because right now my favorite clan is probably La Sombra. Where is the best place to get a V20 core book? Drive through RPG.com. What would be the single co-author, including dead ones, you'd like to write a fiction book with? Well, if I did go for a dead one, I'd have to do all the writing. So if I was co-authoring, that's a very good question. Who do I fillet at this point, metaphorically speaking, to say I would love to write with this person? Someone who isn't so far above me that they would look down on me, that's for sure. I really enjoyed working on Wraith the Oblivion 20th Anniversary Edition because I think Richard Dansky is one of the finest minds that role-playing games have ever seen, and he works at Ubisoft now. If I could work with him on anything, again, I would. I would jump at the chance because I think he's fantastic. Not many people would disagree with that. Do I think Kindred of the East can be rehabilitated for a modern audience? Time will tell. I think there's a lot of flaws in Kindred of the East, speaking personally, not the voice of the company. But I think one of the best ways of telling that, and a measuring stick we will be using, is how popular it is on the Storyteller's Vault. Because now that you can create Kindred of the East books, if people do, it will actually tell us there's an interest, and we'll be able to see the kind of material they're creating. How would I introduce the Worm, the Wild, and the Weaver into Wealth of Forsaken? As aspects of Luna, maybe? Pangea, aspects of Pangea, probably. I don't actually see a problem with mixing Apocalypse and Forsaken, and I put Pentax or variations on it in my Wealth of Forsaken games because I really like Pentax, so I don't think it's that difficult to do. I would more likely tie the Weaver into being the God Machine, the Wild into being the Hedge and the True Fae, and the Worm would be something that's more difficult because there's no out-and-out evil plane. I'm sure you could throw one at me from Chronicles of Darkness right now. The Worm could be... It would be something to do with beasts like the Insatiables, maybe. What is the opinion of the 30 Days of Night series? I enjoy 30 Days of Night, actually. It's very different, but to my normal vampire medium, but it's fun. Robert wants to know, are they in the normal cover? The ones on Drive-Thru RPG V20, you will be able to see what the cover is, I believe, on the website. Will vampires ever explore space? If they do, they're going to find it very difficult to drink, unless they're on like an arc ship. A shark on whiskey is mighty risky. A shark on beer is a beer engineer. Very good. Why La Sombra? Well, La Sombra, are they my favorite clan? Right now, it's probably the Giovanni. Have I ever run or played Princess the Hopeful? No, I try and avoid fan-made games, and it isn't because I think they're dreadful. I've made my own games. It's because I don't like to inadvertently steal ideas from them. Simon Beavis is watching, probably through my window. Luckily, my curtains are drawn. Remo Rigger. Simon is one of my mage players, by the way, and long-time player of mine. Hello, Simon. Carbonated drinks like lager get you drunk faster than spirits and wine. Carbonation affects digestion. Thank you for that, Remo Rigger. Jeffy TV, Top the Dog. What? top the dog to go to my YouTube. Okay, so maybe I should actually have proofread these before I. Crackdag says, do you have books out? Have you listened to nothing I've said in this video? Beckett's Jihad Diary and many others. Go on drivethroughrpg.com, type my name in, Matthew Dawkins. You will find all the things on there that I've contributed to. And you know what the saddest thing is going to be? It's that one of the books I contributed a lot of work to, which is Cold War Cthulhu, World War Cthulhu, Cold War, is not in print in any shape or form now. So if you own them, congratulations. I don't think you're going to be able to find them anymore because Cubicle 7 ended their license for Call of Cthulhu, and so you can't buy those books at all, as far as I'm aware. What were your impressions on that vampire game? I've not really got any, I'm afraid. Have there any books by Patrick Rothfuss? I have, actually, yes. And yeah, I really like Patrick Rothfuss. So I recommend other people check him out. If you could have any one of the new World of Darkness lines become a Netflix series, which one would it be? Vampire the Masquerade. I know that is a very easy answer, but I think it's the most easily translatable for a TV series. Rufus, da man, one of the former Vampire the Masquerade YouTube experiment Primogen, if I remember correctly, is saying hi. Long time no see. So hi back to you. And I'm going to have to terminate this broadcast soon if we're going to do a Mage the Ascension character generation. So Thorstein says, what are my plans now that I am back? Well, I'll keep making videos if people will keep watching them. And if I keep making videos and they go down well, we'll set up a Patreon account. You can send me all your money and I'll start making videos to your request and start writing things for your request. How about that? That's not actually my game plan, but if it works out that way, then happy day. Yeah, I could write some good books. I hope so. I hope I've already done so, Crackdag. Any chance for you running and streaming a game? I think there's more than a chance, Monkey 1980. Phantom Apprentice, is there a game where you play aliens similar to XCOM X-Files style aliens? Wait for the sequel till they came from beneath the sea. We came from beneath the sea. D.L. Adams, did you know that the metal band Slipknot has a song dedicated to Wail for the Apocalypse? Pentex does suck indeed, yes. Do you think that storytelling cliches are acceptable as long as they're executed? What are your thoughts on this? Cliches are absolutely acceptable because it puts players into a false sense of security, or it reassures them and makes them feel intelligent. There's nothing wrong with playing to cliches and just occasionally provide something new. Don't want to take up too much time for other questions, but what is the plot of your Mage the Ascension adventure? Avoiding spoilers, of course. Well, okay, so it started out, we have a Celestial Chorister, we have an Ecstatic, and we have a Chakravanti, or Euthanatoi, or Euthanatos, if you prefer. It's based in London. They've only just come to know each other. They became aware of someone being awakened nearby. They rushed to the scene to find the scene of a massacre. A lot of other representative traditions in the region came to the scene as well, and then hastily got away when there was clearly a massacre there and no body to be found, no mage to be found. The technocracy turned up, and there was a lot of evasive action. They went back to the Celestial Chorus's headquarters, I guess, in London, to seek out guidance, and they've decided they're going to try and find who they believe was the awakening mage, which was the child that lived in that apartment, because the chunks of body that they found were his parents. So there's a missing child who might be a newly awakened mage. They're not sure which faction has snatched him or where he is, or if Paradox ate him, but they want to know. That's the mystery, and that was the first session pretty much, but there have been sessions since. But thank you for asking. Nikolai Sokalski, with my group, we always found that by knowing lots of meta information, we were losing a lot of mystery and horror of the game. How would you counter that? Make more mystery and horror, or place their expectations, and then just give them the occasional surprise. Have I watched True Blood? I did, but only the first couple of series, because I agree it sort of went downhill. Me and my friends actually sat down and did the maths to figure out how much water Vampire would need to get from Earth to Alpha Centauri. It was a lot less than we thought. Water? Well, hopefully it'll be blood. There's the clan you don't like. I think the clan I don't like right now is the Giovanni. Basic 204, after you remember that a vampire can go into torpor, that's a good point. Yeah, we'll move on. Silence. Still waiting for those thumbs to go back down, or go back up, I should say. 8 thumbs down is not what I signed up for here. This is a popularity contest. And 8 thumbs down is like, I don't know, it's a death sentence on YouTube. I'll never be invited back here again. Time for everyone to ask, do you have any books out? Ha, ha, ha. Meow, La Sombra, says Dolce Skies. I should absolutely make vids. What is this? Amber Oni, thank you for answering my questions. Your videos were my first foray into Vampire the Masquerade's lore. You caught my Warhammer reference before. Are you familiar with Warhammer writers like Dembski Bowden or Dan Abnett? I am familiar with Dembski Bowden. I've been in touch with him about working on some Chronicles of Darkness stuff because he has contributed to it before. Next Kickstarter for Vampire the Masquerade asks Ginevra Capone. I do not know what it will be. It might be V5. It was on Kickstarter, but I don't know if it will be. What will I do when Gehenna arrives? Go to sleep. Get some rest. Have I read any of the Joe Ledger series? I don't know if you answered that question already. My internet drops for a bit. I have not. And I think we're nearly at the end of the questions, which means I have actually caught up with questions and people have been dropping off quicker. That's good. Right. That means I can leave with a clear conscience. Someone thinks I'm evading the favorite, least favorite thing with these responses. I don't know what you mean. Sonia Suleiman says it's good to see you back. Thank you, Sonia. Thorstein, vampire come from ancient evil pillars. Dead space markers. That's interesting. Michael Pike, any movement on the V5 we should know about, or the announcement of any World of Darkness line getting the treatment V5 is? I will be vague, as you've invited me to be so. As everyone knows here by now, I am writing for V5. What can I give you about V5 that isn't in massive breach of NDAs? So Ken Hite is the developer. You might probably already know that. He's a fantastic writer and developer, or lead writer on this, should I say. What could I give you that has been out? So lore sheets are at the back of the book, so you don't need to know meta plot. There will be several lore sheets at the back of every single book that will have things like Descendant of Mithras, and if you buy this lore sheet at character generation, you'll have almost a tree of dots of powers you can put in that lore sheet, which gives you different levels of benefit depending on how far it is up. Each of these meta plot lore sheets basically ties into the background, so it doesn't have to be at the forefront of the game and you don't have to know anything about it. So you don't have to know the meta plot in order to get the lore sheet, because everything you need to know will be written on it, and hopefully it will be in some kind of artifact form, but I don't know that for sure. What's my favorite thumb, left or right? Well, the left one is a bit crooked. There we go. We'll go for left, because to my left right now, that's the thumbs up on the YouTube screen. Do I have any books out? Asks Thorstein Memeson. Do you? Vampire, Chicago or LA? Chicago for me. Where do I find your books, though? Not on my local shop. DriveThruRPG.com. Love the channel through for the new content. Never get tired of watching again and again. Good for you, Francesco Palozzi Lavorante. The gent is a monster. The endurance. This is more like a masochist. Thank you for your material on the Kyrseed and Lord of the Bloodlines. Terrific stuff. Players have been waiting for that for a very long time, myself included. Cheers, says Gabriel Garmindia. James Blams. Belly Strandberg, thanks for the stream. Velrath, are you working on Deviant? I'm not working on Deviant. Nikolai Sokalski, thank you so much for your answers. That was enjoyable and fun. Real Winters, evasion confirmed. Is Vampire the Masquerade related to that werewolf thingy? Yes. Favorite clan is Applejack. You have a great night. Long live Prince Wolf. I'm afraid he's dead. And what else? Do you have any books out? A few. Which two old World of Darkness lines do you think work the best with one another? Probably Changeling and Mage. Good question. Yeah, get all those downvotes removed. Be nice to me. It's been a while. Oh, wait, Jen, what do you do to get into the mindset for a long writing session? Any kind of recurring things you find yourself doing in masturbation? In masturbation 12 times. I started giving my answer before. Yeah, I masturbate 12 times before I start writing. I watched this thing on the Daily Mash recently, I think it was, that said that if you're self-employed, you spend pretty much all your time jerking off. So, yeah, why not? No, what do I do before I start writing? Usually I read. I will read a little to get my mind in the right game that I'm working on. I will listen to music. I will go for a swim during the day because it helps to stay limber and not just stuck in the seated position constantly. So yeah, there's a few different things I will do, but reading is probably the most useful. Well, my views on alternate vampire origins, never really like Kane, very much in favour. I think there should be no definitive answer. Kiss my ass says, whoa, you're alive. Kiss your ass. Think I heard you were going to make some mage videos on Facebook. Ooh, well, there we go. And what else do we have? Because we're very, very near the end. People keep answering, keep asking me fucking questions. Do you think White Wolf will begin advertising the Storyteller's Vault more to get it as well known as the DM's Guild? That's up to White Wolf. I suggest you email them if you want them to. Where can I buy clan pins for Vampire? By Night Studios website. What would you consider revolutionary in the RPG genre? If I knew that, I would I would probably I'd write it myself. Have you played The Wolf Among Us? I have not. Hopefully, if there's ever a Vampire the Masquerade video game, you'll get a voice acting part in it. Gent. Well, email White Wolf and tell them. You know, I say this, and it sounds like a joke. It's not a joke. If you want me to do this sort of stuff, White Wolf need to know about it, and they might hire me to do it. When writing, do you try to immerse yourself into the characters you write them? No, I find that if I did that with horror, I'd probably make myself very depressed. Will we ever get Ancient Rome Vampire, Fall of the Republic? There's already that for Vampire the Requiem. It's called Requiem for Rome and Fall of the Camarilla. There will never be an end to this video. No, there will not. Now we know the gent's true hell, trapped in a chair with endless questions. You're a big posh sod with plums in your mouth. Only the plums are mutated and have beaks. Well, the plums in my mouth made me speak very, very well indeed, Phantom Apprentice. Actually, that was Mr. Pixel. Sorry, Phantom Apprentice. Would you play a tabletop RPG where all the rules and mechanics are handled by a cell phone app? Yes. I'm off to sleep. Thank you for being as entertaining as always, gents, as Eon1. And according to my chat log, that is everything. I am up to date. According to YouTube, I've got to the end of my questions. Glad to hear from you. Thanks for answering all your questions, says Elvis. Paddy says, I'm just posting this to upset you so close to the finish line. Fuck y'all. What do you think is missing the most from Demon the Fall and Bury On? I'm going to leave that as a mystery. I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to make a video on character creation for Mage the Ascension. So, thank you very much. It's nearly midnight. I didn't anticipate a video lasting this long. No one will watch this now. No one will watch this now because it's nearly 3 hours long and it's your fault. You who gave me the thumbs down. So if I could say one thing to you at this point, it's for all of those. For every thumbs down, I owe you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these. 8 of these. Oh, you bastards. I'm not engaging in this anymore. I'm not engaging in this anymore. I need to sign off now. How the hell do I sign out of this? I don't know. What's going on? I've got... Oh, God, I know why. It's because okay, so this is my final thought, and I'm not looking at the YouTube anymore now, so you do what you like. You say what you like. I'm not going to read them. When I started trying to broadcast this, I've been having a lot of trouble with Google Hangouts. And it's because Google Chrome, for whatever reason, doesn't recognize the camera that's built into my webcam. Skype does, Facebook does. Google Chrome does not like Google Hangouts. So I'm running this through Internet Explorer. Can you believe that someone is still using Internet Explorer? So for you, I've gone back in time just to make this video. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon if I don't pass out. Bye-bye. And I missed the stop broadcast button. Bye-bye.